All right. Praise Yah. Shalom, shalom, Yasharal. Shalom, shalom, Mashpaka. Shalom, shalom. Trust everybody is having an awesome Arab Shabbat, evening into the Shabbat. And for those on the other side of the world, Bakatu for a grand rising Shabbat on the other side of the world. Praise Yah. And so we're going to start this Shabbat with the breaking of the bread and the renewed covenant meal. Since usually I say it at the end, but sometimes it gets late and I don't make it to it, and I get tired and cut it short and don't do it until the next day or something. Yehuda kind of inspired me, led me to do this first. But real quick, hold on one second. I'm gonna try to see if I can get better lighting on the camera. It's kind of dark. So, yeah, that might actually be better. Let's go to the night light. See if this does anything. Don't do it. I'll just bring it up there. No problem at all. Just trying things out. So without further ado, go ahead and get this going on the other side. What I'm trying to do is keep my phone charged. But you know what? I'm gonna do on this side because this is where the lighting is. Then again, maybe on. Oh, did I not do that one? Up here. Yeah, it's a little better. There we go. Yeah, it's a little better. All right, cool. Praise Yah. And I shall go ahead and begin with the opening of the Shabbat, halal, and the renewed covenant meal. So let's go ahead and give Torah. Baruch atah Yahuwah al-Adyon Makalam. And Yahusha Mashiach Al Shaddai, Creator Shamayim and Aratz, Kodash Yosham. Vibarakata, Uhabata, Uhalalata, Torah Tabiyah, Adani Ali, Aishi Yahusha. For this most awesome Shabbat Yom that you have made, let us rejoice and be glad in it. For this is the Yom of rest that you have made. Halal Yahuwah Yahusha. For in 6 Yomim Avi Yahuwah Mak Yahusha Ruach HaKodash, you created the Shamayim and the Arats and rested on the 7th Yom and were refreshed. And you Kadash the 7th Yom as a Shabbat, as a sign of the covenant between you and us and you, to know that you are Adonai Eloheinu and that we are your people. And so we enter into that rest now, Abba Yahuwah, Mak Yahusha, and Ruach HaKodash, that we be Echad one, that we abide in you, and you abide in us, that we be Tamim, as you are Tamim. For you, Abba Yahuwah, Mak Yahusha, did make us Tamim perfect in your image in Ruach HaKodash. And so we palal and petition these things, Abba Yahuwah, Mak Yahusha, and Ruach HaKodash with praise and Todah and gratefulness, by the power of the Dam of the Shah, the renewed covenant, by your power and authority, Mak Yahusha Mashiach, Adonai Eloheinu, Adani Wali, Tor, Aman, Aman. Halal Yahuwah, Yahusha. Hallelujah. Halal Yahuwah, Yahusha. All right. Assuming that everybody just assuming, has eaten already, had some kind of meal, doesn't have to eat, hasn't been without much. We're gonna go ahead and break bread. So, Baruch atah Yahuwah, Al Elyon, Akalam, Al Shaddai, Creator Shamim and Eretz, Kadash Sham. Let your reign come, your desire be done perfectly on Aratz as it is done in Shamayim. And give us this Yom, our daily Lacham, your word and your desired plan for our time. And forgive us our sins, as we forgive those who sin against us. And let us not fall to temptation, trial, or destruction, but deliver us from the wicked schemes of the enemy. For in you, Yahuwah, Makiyahusha, and Ruach HaKodash is eternal. Reign, power, and the kabod, the esteem. In you, Makiyahusha, Mashiach, and the Nainu Alahainu, Atani Ali, Tulu Tulu Tulu. Aman, Aman, Aman. Halal Yahuwah, Yahusha, Hallelujah. Hallelujah, Yahusha. We invite your presence here, Yahuwah, Makiyahusha, and Ruach HaKodash, that you speak through us and that you discern through us, that you make us achad, gather us together, one body, one in you, with your mind, your yatsad, your understanding. Make us one in lavim and nafash. Strengthen us, kabar, that we may be perfect as you are, tamim, tamim as you are, tamim. We ask that you give us ears to hear and eyes to see, not a mind to perceive and a love to understand. By your power and authority, Makiyahusha Mashiach, Ruach HaKodash, Atanainu Alahainu, Atani Ali. Aman, Waman, Waman. Halal Yahuwah, Yahusha. Halal. Halal Yahuwah, Yahusha. Halal. In the night, Adani, Wali, Malki, Aishi, Yahusha, you were betrayed. You took Lakam, and you Baruch, and gave Torah. Baruch Atav Yahuwah, Al Elyon, Makalam, Al Shaddai, Creator Shamayim and Aratz, who brings forth the Lakam of Aratz. Kodash Birsham, Turu Turu Turu, Aman, Waman, Waman, Halal Yahuwah, Yahusha, Halal, Halal Yahuwah, Yahusha. And you Baruch and broke after giving Todah, gave to Tamalim, and said, take, eat, all of you, for this is my body broken for you on your behalf. As often as you eat of it, do this in remembrance of me. We do this now to your remembrance, Makiyahusha Mashiach, Adanainu Alahainu, Atani Ali, Turu Turu Turu. Aman, Waman, Waman. Halal Yahuwah, Yahusha. Hallelujah. Body of Yahusha Mashiach, the Torah and the Word made flesh. Halal Yahuwah, Yahusha. Hallelujah. In the same way, Maki Yahusha, Adani Ali. You took the cup and Baruch and gave Torah. Baruch Atav Yahuwah, Al Elyon, Akalam, Al Shaddai, Creator Shamayim and Eretz, who brings forth the fruit of the vine. Kodash Birsham. Halal Yahuwah, Yahusha. Hallelujah. Amen. And you Baruch and gave Torah and gave to your Talmudim and said, take, drink, all of you, for this is the cup of the renewed covenant in my dam, shed for multitudes for the forgiveness of sins. As often as you drink of it, do this in remembrance of me. We do this now to your remembrance, Makiyahusha Mashiach, Adanainu Alahainu, Antani Ali, Turu Turu Turu, Aman, Waman, Waman, Halal Yahuwah, Yahusha, Halal, Halal Yahuwah, Yahusha. Dama Yahusha Mashiach, the eternal fruit of the Ruach. Rahaba and Shalom and Chasad and Han, poured out in your dam to renew the everlasting covenant for the forgiveness of sins. We now drink partake in, that your Havan Shalom and Chasad and Han and all the fruit of your Ruach be alive and abide in us, that we too might have a secure expectation of eternal Chai through the belief, trust, and obedience in you, Yahusha Mashiach, Adonai Eloheinu, that we be Echad one, that we abide in you and you in us, that we be Tamim as you are Tamim. For you have Yahuwah, Yahusha, did make us Tamim in your image and Ruach HaKodash. And so we palal and petition these things of Yahuwah, Yahusha, and Ruach HaKodash, with praise and todah and gratefulness by the power of the Dam of the Shah, the renewed covenant, by your power and authority, Yahusha Mashiach, Adonai Eloheinu, Adani Ali, Toro Toro Toro, Aman, Aman, Halal Yahuwah, Yahusha, Hallelujah. Dama Yahusha Mashiach, eternal for the Ruach. Amen. Halal Yahuwah, Yahusha. Before we begin, again, I wanted to reiterate this message that we had talked about earlier, that I shared, and my phone is vibrating, kind of like reminding me about it. So this is, before we start, a message that I posted earlier, and this is for all the Korashim scattered across the four corners of the Arats, from Shamaim above, from Yahuwah Sabaoth and Ruach HaKodash. Says this: we need worldwide Kodashim structure now. 3 times in the Yom, we can get on Facebook when everybody's designated to share scripture they're reading, or they can think to share, or an edifying word, scripture related. No drama, no conspiracy theories, ranting, raves, world politics, and narratives at these times. It is Kadash time to Yahuwah, so only Yahuwah's word. Why? Because we have cracked the code to the pattern. They do try to play as Yahuwah and inspire some Yahusha-related edifying material, yet most of these are dressed and coated with witchcraft, sorcery, in the way it's projected, even in the choice of pagan terms used. And the material itself is mixed with pagan thought, images, music, symbols, and with worldly influences and references. And let me backtrack because this is... There we go. Yes. Every time we feel impressed to see what's going on Facebook, the enemy has already inspired even our own mashpacha, not discerning it, to lay out stumbling blocks for each other, for one another. Again, the Korean strawman round table I shared earlier comes to mind. We must not give in to these fleshly inclinations. We must ask ourselves what is inspiring us to want to get on in the first place. But we need to take simple control of our own thoughts, inspirations, and actions, emotions, to rule the Facebook algorithms and not let it rule us, like living triggered algorithms ourselves. Every Yom, 6 a.m. on the Atlantic coast side, on their time zone, everyone is required, if possible, at this time, to first share a Bakar rising word before anything else they decide to share. Share something edifying of the message of Yahusha, scripture, something by the Ruach. Don't go on just to see what people are talking about. You're bored, you want to, or just, entertain yourself. Yes, have your rising meditation, Palau Yahuwah, all that first. I'm speaking in terms of context of when you get on Facebook. The first thing is that you should be doing, the reason you're getting on is because you're sharing something of an edifying message for others. So we're all edifying each other at the same time. Because they have us working in a pattern of algorithms too, where some are triggered to get on, see shenanigans, share that, and others get on and see it, and then we're all causing each other to stumble like domino effects. So when we do this, we break that pattern and we take control ourselves. So every Yom, again, 6 a.m. on the Atlantic Coast time, everyone is required when they get out on Facebook to first share a Bakat Rising word, a grand rising, a word for the grand rising. All time zones need to check in with this time accordingly. The time shall be according to the 3 parts of Yom and the 3 parts of Laila written in the Kafar HaChanuk, that is the book of Enoch, Hanuk. These times are 6 a.m., 10 a.m., 2 p.m. Those are the 3 parts a day, 4 hours apart. And the times for the Laila, the evening, accordingly reflect the Yom. They are 6 p.m., 10 p.m., 2 a.m., and then cycle back to 6 a.m. at the rising, and on it goes. The other side of the world, shall operate according to this layout. Their Bakat gatherings, their rising gatherings, be our Laila gatherings, our evening gatherings, and their evening gatherings shall be our rising gatherings. If there is any conflicts, confusion, or concerns with this layout, let us know. But this is affected immediately. This shall cause our nafashim, our inner beings, to discern the demonic fleshly inclinations that try to control us as living Facebook algorithms, that we may break free from these chains and govern ourselves under the right ruling and Kadash discipline of the Dabar, the word of Yahuwah, instead of the world's, the demonic powers that be, intrusive counterfeit inclinations, that we might be of one Yatsar mind, and operating truly and only by the word of Yahuwah, asking Yahuwah to give us and fill us only with His word, especially at these times, and nothing else. That we should have no reason to get on Facebook at any other time, that we would know that if any other time we're inclined to check just for no reason, vanity, a nudge for no reason, just bored, it's probably a demonic inclination, spiritual warfare, snaring us to trap us to get stuck on there, get addicted, go down that rabbit hole. But that we should have no reason to get on Facebook at any other time except to share a word according to these stipulations, and see those our Akim have shared. So it's only to share what we have to share at those times, and to see the messages, those edifying things that our Akim have also shared. Should it be there? In other words, when you get on, If it's there, it's there. If it's not, don't go scrolling around so as not to go searching at their own eyes and lusting at their own love and desires. And this is how we break the powerful spellbound power Facebook has over most of the Kodashim, the Mashpaka. Because we all know we're treated a little bit different than everybody else. We're trying to keep our eyes pure and our mind, and the world, the system, the algorithms tends to put more pressure on us and make us look bad, gets us stumble more, emotional charges, shock charges in us to get into certain things, all kinds of stuff. But this is how we handle it on Facebook and stay in oneness because we unite like 5G tower signals as one body, strengthening ourselves as a body, as one, as a collective. So, again, don't scroll around so as not to go searching after our own eyes and lusting after our own love and desires. And this is how we break the powerful spellbound power Facebook has over most of the mashpacha, the family, the body. And this is how we make the captives free and open the floodgates that Facebook may only be flooded by the word of Yahuwah. And no, anything not the word is most likely coded demonically to snare you, pull you down, to hypnotize you and mesmerize you, to draw you in and suck you in, bring you into the wormhole, the black hole. So, continuing. Again, anything not the word is most likely coded demonically. Don't look or give it interest and see how the enemy shall come at you in other ways, in your reality, in dreams that move your emotions, deep thoughts and ideas to get your mind racing and distracted, no longer in Shamaim realm. Old friends even wanting to hang out, all of a sudden, nostalgic music begins to play in the background, putting you in a world festive vibe to rob your energy and bring you down to the ground and suck you in the black hole again and again and again. Some form of pleasure in this world, yet it is all coded demonically. So resist and stay in the upper room till Yahusha comes down once again in the power of the Ruach and indwells in us fully and once and for all. Barak Yahuwah Yahusha. Halal Yahuwah Yahusha. Word of Yahuwah. Praise Yah. So there you go. Felt the need that needed to be addressed physically. And that being said, we shall now begin the Natsarym Shabat reading with the two great commands to love Yahuwah, Adonai Eloheinu, with all our mind, with all our yatzar, lab, nafash, and gabar, strength, and to have our neighbor as ourselves. Praise Yah. All right. A little bitter. Matatiahu, Matthew, chapter 22. should be able to get through most of this read with the charge I had. I'm just going to go right through it. Sit down over here. So Matatiyahu Matthew chapter 22 verse 34. But the Parashim, having heard that he had silenced the Sadducees, were gathered together, and one of them, one learned in the Torah, questioned, trying him, and saying, Rabbi, what is the great command in the Torah? And Yahusha said to him, You shall ahava Yahuwah, your Elohim, with all your lab, and with all your nafash, and with all your yatzar. This is the first and great command, and the second is like it. You shall ahava your neighbor as yourself. On these two commands hang all the Torah and the Nabim. And when the Parashim were gathered together, Yahusha asked them, saying, What do you think concerning Hamashiach? Whose ban is he? They said to him, Of Dawood. He said to them, Then how does Dawood in the Ruach call him Adani, saying, Yahuwah said to Adani, my master, Sit at my right hand until I make your enemies a footstool for your feet. If then Dawood calls him Adani, how is he his ban? And no one was able to answer him a word, and from that yom on, no one asked him any more questions. Mark, chapter 28, chapter 12, verse 28. You cool, bro? It's not too loud? Okay, so had earphones. My bunky's got the earphones Bluetooth to the TV, so I think he's okay. I don't think he can hear me. I'm gonna make sure I'm not messing that up for him. Alright. Mark chapter 12, verse 28. And one of the scribes coming near, hearing them reasoning together, knowing that he had answered them well, asked him, What is the first command of all? And Yahusha answered him, The first of all the commands is, Hear, O Yasharal, Yahuwah Aralahim, Alahainu, Yahuwah Achad is one, and you shall ahava Yahuwah, your Elohim, with all your lab, and with all your nafash, your being, and with all your yatzar, and with all your gabar, your strength. This is the first command, and the second is like it, is this, you shall ahava your neighbor as yourself. There is no other command greater than these. Right. Dabarim, Deuteronomy, chapter 5. And Masha called all Yasharal and said to them, Hear, O Yasharal. You know what? Let's go to real quick. Dabarim, Deuteronomy. I want to read verse 14. From 4:14. And Yahuwah commanded me at that time to teach you laws and right rulings, for you to do them in the land that you pass over to possess. Therefore, diligently guard yourselves, for you saw no form when Yahuwah spoke to you at Horeb out of the midst of the fire, lest you should do corruptly, and shall make for yourselves a carved image in the form of any figure, the likeness of male, man, or female of a woman, the likeness of any beast that is on the arats, or the likeness of any winged bird that flies in the Shamayim, or the likeness of any creature that creeps on the ground, or the likeness of any fish that is in the Maim under the arats, unless you lift up your eyes to the Shamayim, and shall see the sun and the Yarach, the moon, and the Kukabim, all the multitude of the Shamayim above, and you be drawn away into bowing down to them and serving them, that Yahuwah your Elohim has allotted to all the peoples under all the Shamayim. But Yahuwah has taken you and brought you out of the iron furnace, out of Natsarym, to be his people, an inheritance as it is this Yom. And Yahuwah was enraged with me because of your words, and swore that I would not pass over the Yardan. Let's continue. Verse 23. Guard yourselves, lest you forget the covenant of Yahuwah, your Elohim, that he made with you, and shall make for yourselves a carved image in any likeness Yahuwah your Elohim has commanded you. For Yahuwah your Elohim is a consuming fire, a jealous Al. When you bring forth children and grandchildren, and shall grow old in the land, and shall do corruptly, and make a carved image in any likeness, and shall do what is evil in the eyes of Yahuwah your Elohim to provoke him, I shall call the Shamayim and the Arats to witness against you on that Yom, that you soon completely perish from the land that you pass over to the Yardan to possess. You do not prolong your Yomim in it, but are completely destroyed. And that's at the day of judgment, so we want to be guarding this now. And Yahuwah shall scatter you among the peoples, and you shall be left few in number among the Goyim, where Yahuwah drives you. And there you shall serve mighty ones, the work of man's hand, wood and stone, that neither see, nor hear, nor eat, nor smell. So you Catholics out there, that's what's happening right now with you. But from there you shall seek Yahuwah, your Elohim, and shall find when you search for him with all your love and with all your nafash. Because you were these Israelites that got scattered to the nations and started serving other mighty ones of gold and silver and stone and wood and images. But from there you shall seek Yahuwah, your Elohim, and shall find when you search for him with all your love and with all your nafash in your distress. And all these words shall come upon you in the latter days, in the last Yomim. Then you shall return to Yahuwah. So it's making reference to this was happening in their time and in the last days. Your Elohim, and you shall obey his voice. For Yahuwah, your Elohim, is a compassionate Al. He does not forsake you nor destroy you, nor forget the covenant of your Abim, your fathers, that he swore to them. For ask now of the days of the Yomim that are past, who were before you, since the Yom that Elohim created Adam, man on the Arats, and ask from one end of the Shamayim to the other end of the Shamayim, whether there has been a word as great as this, or has been heard like it. Has a people heard the voice of Elohim speaking out of the midst of the fire, as you have heard and live? Oh, has Elohim tried to go and take for himself a nation from the midst of a nation by trials, and by signs, and by wonders, and by battle, and by a strong hand and an outstretched arm, and by great fearsome deeds, according to all that Yahuwah your Elohim did for you in Natsarym before your eyes? You have been shown it, to know that Yahuwah himself is Elohim, there is no one besides him. From the Shamayim he let you hear his voice, to instruct you, and on Aratz he showed you his great fire, and you heard his words, out of the midst of the fire. And because he ahabad your Abim, therefore he chose their seed after them, and brought you out of Natsarym with his presence, with his great power, to drive out from before you nations greater and stronger than you, to bring you in, to give you their land as an inheritance, as it is this Yom. And you shall know that Yom, and shall recall to your love that Yahuwah himself is Elohim in the Shamayim, above and on the Arats beneath. There is none else. And you shall guard his laws and his commands that I command you this Yom, so that it is well with you and with your children after you, and so that you prolong your Yamim on the land that Yahuwah your Elohim is giving you for all time. Verse 44. Oh no, okay. Chapter 5. And Masha called all Yasharal and said to them, Hear, O Yasharal, the laws and right rulings that I speak in your hearing this Yom, and you shall learn them and guard to do them. Yahuwah, our Elohim, made a covenant with us in Horab. Yahuwah did not make this covenant with our Abim, but with us, those who are here this Yom, all of us who are alive. Yahuwah spoke with you face to face on the mountain from the midst of the fire. I stood between Yahuwah and you at that time to declare to you the word of Yahuwah. For you were afraid because of the fire, and you did not go up the mountain, saying, I am Yahuwah, your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Natsarym, out of the house of bondage. You have no other mighty ones against my face. You do not make for yourself a carved image, any likeness of what is in the Shamayim above, or what is in the Arats beneath, or what is in the Maim under the Arats. You do not bow down to them, nor serve them. For I, Yahuwah, your Elohim, am a jealous Al, visiting the wickedness of the Abim upon the children, to the third and the fourth generations of those who hate me, but showing kindness to thousands, to those who ahaba me and guard my commands. You do not bring the name, the Sham of Yahuwah, your Elohim, to naught. For Yahuwah does not leave him unpunished who brings his name to naught. Guard the Shabat Yom to Kadash it, as Yahuwah, your Elohim, has commanded you. 6 Yomim you labor, and shall do all your work. But the seventh Yom is a Shabbat of Yahuwah, your Elohim. You do not do any work, you, nor your bond, nor your bat, nor your male servant, nor your female servant, nor your ox, nor your donkey, nor any of your cattle, nor your stranger who is within your gates, so that your male servant and your female servant rest as you do. And you shall remember that you were a slave in the land of Natsarym, and that Yahuwah, your Elohim, brought you out from there by a strong hand and by an outstretched arm. Therefore, Yahuwah, your Elohim, commanded you to perform the Shabbat Yom. Respect your Abba and your Amma, as Yahuwah, your Elohim, has commanded you, so that your Yamim are prolonged, and so that it is well with you on the land that Yahuwah, your Elohim, is giving you. You do not murder, nor hate your neighbor in your love, or despise him without a cause. You do not commit adultery, nor look at anyone with sexual intentions to take them. You do not steal. You do not bear false witness against your neighbor. You do not covet your neighbor's wife, nor do you desire your neighbor's house, his field, nor his male servant, nor his female servant, his ox, nor his donkey, or whatever belongs to your neighbor. These words Yahuwah spoke to all your congregation in the mountain from the midst of the fire, of the cloud, and of the dense cloud with a loud voice. And he added no more. And he wrote them on 2 tablets of stone and gave them to me. And it came to be, as when you heard the voice from the midst of the darkness, while the mountain was burning with fire, that you came near to me, all the heads of your tribes and your elders, and said, See, Yahuwah, our Elohim, has shown us his esteem and his greatness, and we have heard his voice from the midst of the fire. This Yom we have seen that Elohim speaks with Adam, man, and he lives. And now why should we die? For this great fire is consuming us. If we hear the voice of Yahuwah, our Elohim, any more, then we shall die. For who is there of all flesh who has heard the voice of the living Elohim speaking from the midst of the fire as we have and lived? You go near and hear all that Yahuwah our Elohim says, and speak to us all that Yahuwah our Elohim says to you, and we shall hear and do it. And Yahuwah heard the voice of your words when you spoke to me, and Yahuwah said to me, I have heard the voice of the words of this people, that they have spoken to you, that they have done well in all that they have spoken. Oh, that they had such a love in them to revere me and to guard all my commands always, so that it might be well with them and with their children forever. Go say to them, Return to your tents. But you stand here by me, and let me speak to you all the commands and the laws and the right rulings that you are to teach them, and they shall do them in the land that I am giving them to possess. And you shall guard to do as Yahuwah your Elohim has commanded you. Do not turn aside to the right or to the left. Walk in all the way that Yahuwah your Elohim has commanded you, so that you live eternally, and it be well with you, and you shall prolong your Yomim in the land that you possess. Prolong your Yamim in eternity in the land we possess, New Jerusalem, paradise. Chapter 6. And this is a command, the laws and right rulings that Yahuwah your Elohim has commanded to teach you to do in the land that you are passing over to possess, so that you revere Yahuwah your Elohim, to guard all his laws and his commands that I command you, you and your ban and your grandban, all the Yamim of your Chai, and that your Yamim be prolonged. And you shall hear, O Yasharal, and shall guard to do, that it might be well with you, and that you increase greatly, as Yahuwah Elohim of your Abim has spoken to you, a land flowing with milk and honey. Hear, O Yasharal, Yahuwah our Elohim, Yahuwah Achad is one. Hear, O Yasharal, Yahuwah Eloheinu, Yahuwah Achad is one. And you shall Ahava Yahuwah your Elohim with all your love, and with all your nafash, and with all your gabal. And these words, all these commands that I am commanding you this yom, shall be in your love, and you shall impress them upon your children, and shall speak of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up, and shall bind them as a sign on your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. And you shall write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. And it shall be when Yahuwah your Elohim brings you into the land of where he swore to your Abim, to Abraham, to Yitzchak, and to Jacob, to give you great and tub cities that you did not build, and houses filled with all kinds of tubs that you did not fill, and wells dug that you did not dig, vineyards and olive trees that you did not plant. And you shall eat and be satisfied. Be on guard, lest you forget Yahuwah, who brought you out of the land of Natsarym, from the house of bondage. Revere Yahuwah, your Elohim, and serve him, and swear by his name. Do not go after other mighty ones, the mighty ones of the people who are all around you. For Yahuwah, your Elohim, is a jealous Al in your midst, lest the displeasure of Yahuwah, your Elohim, burn against you. Then he shall destroy you from the face of the Arats. Do not try Yahuwah, your Elohim, as you tried him in Massa. Diligently guard the commands of Yahuwah, your Elohim, and his witnesses, and his laws, that he has commanded you. And you shall do what is right and tub in the eyes of Yahuwah, that it might be well with you. And you shall go in and possess the Tub land, of where Yahuwah swore to your Abim, to drive out all your enemies from before you, as Yahuwah has spoken. When your bond asks you in time to come, saying, what is the meaning of the witnesses, and the laws, and the right rulings, that Yahuwah our Elohim has commanded you? Then you shall say to your bond, we were slaves of Pharaoh in the land of Mitzrayim, and Yahuwah brought us out of Mitzrayim with a strong hand, and Yahuwah sent signs and wonders, great and grievous, upon Mitzrayim, upon Pharaoh, and upon all his household, before our eyes. And he brought us out from there, to bring us in, to give us the land of where he swore to our Abim. And Yahuwah commanded us to do all these laws, to revere Yahuwah, our Elohim, for our Tub always, to keep us alive as it is this yom. And it is righteousness for us when we guard to do all this command before Yahuwah, our Elohim, as he has commanded us. Shamut, Exodus, chapter 23. Shamut, Exodus, chapter 23. Do not bring a false report. Do not put your hand with the wicked to be a malicious witness. Do not follow a crowd to do evil, nor bear witness in a strife so as to turn aside after the multitude to pervert the right ruling. And do not favor a poor man in his strife simply because he is poor. But when you meet your enemy's ox or his donkey going astray, you shall certainly return it to him. Again, when you see the donkey of him who hates you lying under its burden, you shall refrain from leaving it to him. You shall certainly help him. Do not turn aside the right ruling. Sorry, there shouldn't be a but there. But when you meet, it's just when you meet your enemy's ox or his donkey. Do not turn aside the right ruling of your poor in his strife. Keep yourself far from a false matter, and do not kill the innocent and the righteous. For I do not declare the wicked right. And do not take a bribe, for a bribe blinds the seeing one, and twists the words of the righteous. And do not oppress a sojourner, as you yourselves know the height of a sojourner, because you were sojourners in the land of Masraim. And for 6 shanim you are to sow your land, and shall gather its increase. But the seventh Shana you are to let it rest, and shall leave it, and the poor of your people shall eat. And when they leave, the beasts of the field eat. Do the same with your vineyard and your olive yard. 6 Yamim you are to do your work, and on the seventh Yom you rest, in order that your ox and your donkey might rest, and the bond of your female servant and the sojourner be refreshed. And in all that I have said to you, take heed, and make no mention of the names of other false mighty ones, other idols, false higher powers. Let their name and remembrance not be heard from your mouth. These 3 times in the year you are to celebrate a Chag to me, a Chag Muad, of appointed festival. Guard the Chag Muad, the festival Matzahut, unleavened bread. 7 Yamim you eat unleavened bread, as I commanded you, at the time appointed in the month of Abib, at the Pasach, for in it you came out of Natsarym. And do not appear before me empty-handed. And the Chag Moed, the appointed festival of the wheat harvest, at the first fruits of the wheat of your labors, at Shabuaut, the harvest that you have sown in the field. And lastly, the Chag Moed, the appointed festival of the ingathering, at the outgoing of the year, at the Chag Moed, the festival of Sakut, when you have gathered in the fruits of your labors from the field. Again, those interjections are in Shemot Exodus 34. Goes into more in those details. These 3 times in the year, all your males are to appear before the Adon Yahuwah. Do not offer the blood of my slaughtering with leavened bread. That's talking about the Pasach. It mentions that in detail in other scriptures. And the fat of my festival, my Chag Moed, shall not remain until Bakar, also Pesach, Pasach. Bring the first of the first fruits of your land into the house of Yahuwah, your Elohim. Do not cook a young goat in its mother's milk. See, I am sending a malach before you to guard you in the way, and to bring you into the place that I have prepared. Be on guard before him and obey his voice. Do not rebel against him, for he is not going to pardon your transgression. For my name, my power and authority is in him. But if you diligently obey his voice, and shall do all that I speak, then I shall be an enemy to your enemies, and a distresser to those who distress you. For my malach shall go before you, and shall bring you into the Amarim, the Chatim, and the Parazim, and the Canaanim, and the Hawim, and the Yabusim, and I shall cut them off. Do not bow down to their mighty ones, nor serve them, nor do according to their works, but without fail overthrow them, and without fail break down their pillars, and you shall serve Yahuwah, your Elohim, and he shall barak and increase your bread and your ma'im, and I shall remove sickness from your midst. None shall miscarry or be barren in your land. I shall fill the number of your yamim. I shall send my fear before you, and cause confusion among all the people to whom you come, and make all your enemies turn their backs to you. And I shall send hornets before you. They shall drive out the Hawim and the Canaanim and the Chatim from before you. I shall not drive them out from before you in one Shana, lest the land become a waste, and the beasts of the field become too numerous for you. Little by little I shall drive them out from before you, until you have increased, and you inherit the land. And I shall point your border from the sea of reeds to the sea of the Palashtim, and from the wilderness to the river. For I shall give the inhabitants of the land into your hand, and you shall drive them out before you. Do not make a covenant with them, nor serve their mighty ones. Do not make a covenant with them, nor with their mighty ones. Let them not dwell in your land, lest they make you sin against me when you serve their mighty ones, when it becomes a snare to you. Uyakra, Leviticus chapter 19. And Yahuwah spoke to Masha, saying, Speak to all the congregation of the children of Yasharal, and say to them, Be Kadash, for I, Yahuwah, your Elohim, am Kadash. Each one of you should revere his Amma and his Abba, and guard my Shabbatot, my Sabbaths. I am Yahuwah, your Elohim. Do not turn to idols, and do not make for yourselves molded mighty ones. I am Yahuwah, your Elohim. And when you bring a shalom offering to Yahuwah, bring it for your acceptance. It is eaten the same yom you slaughtered it, cook it, and on the next yom you eat it. On that yom and the next yom, and that what is left on the third yom is burnt with fire, is terminated, eliminated, destroyed, thrown away. So if it is eaten at all on the third yom, it is abominable, it is not accepted, and he who eats it bears his wickedness, because he has profaned the Kadash offering of Yahuwah, and that being shall be cut off from his people. And when you reap the harvest of your land, do not completely reap the corners of your field, or gather the gleanings of your harvest, and do not glean your vineyard, or gather every grape of your vineyard. Leave them for the poor and the stranger. I am Yahuwah, your Elohim, because I said so. Do not steal, do not lie, do not deceive one another, and do not swear falsely by my name, my power and authority, and so profane the name, power, and authority of your Elohim. I am Yahuwah. Do not oppress your neighbor, and do not rob the wages of him who is hired. It is not to remain with you all night until rising. Bakar. Do not curse the deaf, or put a stumbling block before the blind, but revere your Elohim. I am Yahuwah. Do no unrighteousness in right ruling. Do not be partial to the poor, or favor the face of the great, but rightly rule your neighbors in righteousness. Do not go slandering among your people. Do not stand against the blood, the dam of your neighbor. I am Yahuwah. Do not hate your your brother in your lab. Reprove your neighbor for certain, and bear no sin because of him. Do not take vengeance or bear a grudge against the children of your people, and you shall ahaba your neighbor as yourself. I am Yahuwah, and so guard all my laws. Do not let your high stock mate with another kind. Do not sow your field with mixed seed, and do not put a garment woven of two sorts of thread upon you, but let it be 100%. Verse 26. Do not eat with the blood. Do not practice divination or magic. Do not round the corners of your head, scarring into your skin, nor destroy the corners of your beard, edging into the skin. And do not make any cuttings into your flesh for the dead, nor put tattoo marks on you. I am Yahuwah. Context is cutting into the skin. Do not profane your daughter, your bat, by making her a whore, so the land does not whore, and the land becomes filled with wickedness. Guard my Shabbatut, my Sabbaths, and reverence my Makdash, my dwelling, my home. I am Yahuwah. Do not turn to mediums, and do not seek after spirits to be defiled by them. I am Yahuwah, your Elohim. Rise up before the gray-headed, and you shall favor the face of an old man, and shall revere your Elohim. I am Yahuwah. And when a stranger sojourns with you in your land, do not oppress him. Let the stranger who dwells among you be to you as the native among you, and you shall wahaba him as yourself. for you were strangers in the land of Natsarym. I am Yahuwah, your Elohim. Do no unrighteousness in right ruling and measurement of length. Now, real quick, let's talk about stranger, don't oppress them, but love them as yourself. But then talk about rule out the wicked, the nation. The strangers is the word God. Uh, pretty much identifies somebody who's um, a sojourner or somebody that's like a foreign citizen, like an alien resident. Like, yeah, they're of another nation, but they want to dwell amongst the people and learn the way, So like, love them as yourself. But if it's like of another nation, they're wicked, they're posing, if they're being hostile, then they're being hostile. But if they want to be a part of it, and they be a part of it, and treat them as your own. So do no unrighteousness and right ruling and measurement of length and weight or measuring liquids. Have right scales, right weights, a right alpha, and a right hand. I am Yahuwah, your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim, and you shall guard all my laws and all my right rulings, and do them. I am Yahuwah. Tavarim, Deuteronomy, chapter 10, verse 12. Tavarim, Deuteronomy, chapter 10, verse 12. And now, Yasharab, what is Yahuwah, your Elohim, asking of you, but to revere Yahuwah, your Elohim, to walk in all his ways, and to ahaba him, and to serve Yahuwah, your Elohim, with all your love and with all your nafash, to guard the commands of Yahuwah and his laws that I command you this yom for your tov. See, the Shamayim and the Shamayim of Shamayim belong to Yahuwah, your Elohim, also the Arats with all that is in it. Yahuwah delighted only in Rabbim to ahaba them, and he chose their seed after them, you above all peoples, as it is this yom. And you shall circumcise the foreskin of your lab, and harden your neck no more. For Yahuwah, your Elohim, is Elohim of mighty ones, and Adon of Adanim, the great Al, mighty and awesome Al Shaddai, who shows no partiality nor takes a bribe. He executes right ruling for the abaless, the fatherless, and the widow, and ahaba the stranger, giving him food, lacham, and a garment. And you shall ahaba the stranger, for you are strangers in the land of Mitzrayim. Revere Yahuwah, your Elohim, serve him, and cling to him, and swear by his name. He is your praise, and he is your Elohim, who has done for you these great and awesome deeds that your eyes have seen. Your Abim went down to Mitzrayim with 70 beings, Nafashim, and now Yahuwah, your Elohim, has made you as numerous as the Kokabim of the Shamayim. Chapter 11. And you shall ahaba Yahuwah, your Elohim, and guard his charge, even his laws, and his right rulings, and his commands always. And you shall know and you shall know this yom, for it is not your children who have known, and who have not seen the discipline of Yahuwah, your Elohim, his greatness, his strong hand, and his outstretched arm, and his signs and his works that he had done in the midst of Masraim to Pharaoh, sovereign of Masraim, and to all his land, and that what he had done to the army of Masraim, to their horses and their chariots, when he made the Maim of the Sea of Reeds overflow them as they pursued you, and how Yahuwah had destroyed them to this yom, and what he had done for you in the wilderness, till you came to this place. Skipping to verse 13. And it shall be that if you diligently obey my commands, that I command you this yom, to Ahava Yahuwah your Elohim, and to serve him with all your love and with all your nafash, then I shall give you the rain for your land in its season, the early rain and the latter rain, and you shall gather in your grain, and your new wine, and your oil. And I shall give grass in your fields for your livestock, your high stock, and you shall eat and be satisfied. Guard yourselves, lest your lot be deceived, and you turn aside and serve other mighty ones, and bow down to them. Then the displeasure of Yahuwah shall burn against you, and he shall shut up the Shamayim, and there be no rain, and the land not give its increase, and you shall perish quickly from the Tub land that Yahuwah is giving you. And you shall lay up these words of mine in your love and in your nafash, and shall bind them as a sign on your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. Now earlier when it talked about if you don't keep the commands, you'll shut up the Shamayim, there be no rain. There's another part the Nabim say that when you keep his commands and return to Yahuwah and keep his commands, he shall bring forth the rain and the latter rain, and the rain is baraka, the baraka, the favors of Yahuwah. So it's not necessarily like little rain. Little rain is a manifestation of it, one dynamic projection, but the more poetically talking about like just favor coming your way is the rain, and shutting it up is when there's you're like in dry ground, like you're not being rained on, you're not flourishing, things are dry. And you shall teach them to your children, speaking of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up, and shall write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. And that's even symbolic of writing it on your heart, on your lap, because we're dwellings of Yahweh, we're his dwellings in Mashkan. So we write it on the house, and on the gates is on us in our lap, so that your Yamim and the Yamim of your children are increased on the land of where Yahuwah swore to your Abim to give them, as the Yamim of the Shamayim above on the earth. Oof, right there it says it. The prolonging your days, not just living a long high on earth, but to have the prolongity of high of as the days of the Shamayim, eternity on earth, heaven on earth. For if you diligently guard all these commands that I command you, to do it, to what? To Ahava Yahuwah, your Elohim, that is to walk in all his ways, and to cling to him, then Yahuwah shall drive out all these nations before you, and you shall dispossess greater and stronger nations than you. Every place on where the sole of your foot treads is yours, from the wilderness and Lebanon, from the river Parat, even to the western sea is your border. No man shall stand against you. Yahuwah, your Elohim, shall put the dread of you and the fear of you upon all the land where you tread, as he has spoken to you. See, I am putting before you this yom a baraka, favor, and a curse. The baraka, when you obey the commands of Yahuwah, your Elohim, that I command you this yom, and the curse if you do not obey the commands of Yahuwah, your Elohim, but turn aside from the way that I command you this yom, to go after other mighty ones that you have not known. And it shall be when Yahuwah, your Elohim, has brought you into the land that you go to possess, that you shall put the baraka, the favoring, on Mount Gerizim, pronounce it from Mount Gerizim, and the curses be pronounced on Mount Ebal. Now the reason why he did that, again, Mount Gerizim was a luscious green mountain full of vegetation and fruit, so it was a symbolic, manifested object lesson, parabolic picture of you keep the commandments. When they proclaim the commandments and the favoring on that mountain, this is what you're like. You're going to be like a luscious green garden land, favored, naturally on the land, but your body, your being, and just favor coming your way. And then Mount Ebal was like a dry desert mountain. They were next to each other, so it was like a stream that went through or something that only watered one mountain, but the other one was all dry and desert and rocks. And it's like they pronounced a curse on that one to get a picture that if you don't keep the commandments, you'll end up dried up like this, rocky desert in the end. Because it's one of those things that have like an irony at the end of it. So, all right. So now we go to Dabarim, Deuteronomy, chapter 30. Because we know this world's got plenty of candy, supercharge you and get you all drugged up, and there's plenty of substance out there. And I don't mean physically, just like the scriptures, parabolically, poetically, you know, plenty of things that make you feel nice. And it's almost like Yahuwah doesn't want us to gratify ourselves yet. He wants us to instant gratify and wait to the end. Like Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory, I would say, like Charlie, he was just chilling, kind of going with the flow with Willie, loving the creator more than the creation. But the other kids were like too anxious and too excited, wanting it now, jumping in the chocolate, eating the blueberry, doing what we said not to do, and it had consequences and all that kind of stuff. So we don't want to do that. We want to be like Charlie. Salvation is the golden ticket. Everybody gets it though. But doesn't mean that you're saved. If people got the golden ticket, proclaim salvation, still, kill themselves, out themselves, jumping in the mess of sin. All the golden ticket does is give you the opportunity to to try to pass through to see if you're worthy of it. Give you the opportunity. It makes it available through His blood. But we have to show ourselves approved. It buys us time, buys us to our entire high, pay the price so we can get it right, so we can practice makes perfect kind of thing. It's not even the demons believe and tremble. Doesn't mean demons are saved and they believe and tremble. Believe in the Hebrew idiom, Hebrew thought is the word Shema. It means to listen and obey, to hear, believe, trust, and obey. That is a breakdown. You hear it, you believe in it, so you trust it, and you obey. So it's an action to it. Dabarim, Deuteronomy chapter 30. And it shall be when all these words come upon you, the baraka and the curse that I have put before you, and you shall bring them back to your lab among all the Goyim, the Gentiles, where Yahuwah your Elohim drives you and scatters you, and shall turn back to Yahuwah your Elohim and obey his voice, according to all that I command you this yom. So what is his voice? Like it says, my sheep hear my voice. Well, the foundation, the fundamental part of his voice is first in accordance in line with his commandments. It says, when you obey his voice, according to all that I command you this yom, this day, with all your love and with all your nafash, you and your children, then Yahuwah, your Elohim, shall turn back your captivity and shall have compassion on you. And he shall turn back and gather you from all the peoples where your Elohim has scattered you. If any of you are driven out to the farthest parts under the Shamayim, from there Yahuwah your Elohim gathers you, and from there he takes you. And Yahuwah your Elohim shall bring you to the land that your Abim possessed, and you shall possess it. And he shall do good to you, and increase you more than your Abim, your fathers. We're multiplying all over again, worlds without end. And Yahuwah your Elohim shall circumcise your lab and the lab of your seed, to Ahava Yahuwah, your Elohim, with all your lab and with all your nafash, so that you might live. And Yahuwah, your Elohim, shall put all these curses on your enemies, on all those who hate you, who persecuted you, And you shall turn back and obey the voice of Yahuwah, and do all his commands that I commanded you this yom. And Yahuwah, your Elohim, shall make you have excess in all the work of your hand, in the fruit of your body, and in the fruit of your high stock, and in the fruit of your ground for tu. For Yahuwah turns back to Samach, to express glad exultations over you for tu, as he Samach over your Abim, if you obey the voice of Yahuwah, your Elohim. What's the voice? To guard his commands and his laws that are written in this book of the Torah. If you turn back to Yahuwah, your Elohim, with all your love and with all your nafash, your being. For this command, guess what? For this command that I am commanding you this yom, it is not too hard for you, nor is it far off. So why do they say that it's too hard, no one can do it? Because it's just a lie they teach, it's a lie they make up to program you. But the word says itself, it's not too hard for you, and it's not. It's just a matter of calibrating your mind to a belief. For this command that I am commanding you this yom, it is not too hard for you, nor is it far off. It is not in the Shamaim to say, who shall ascend into the Shamaim for us, and bring it to us, and cause us to hear it, so that we do it. Nor is it beyond the sea to say, who shall go over the sea for us, and bring it to us, and cause us to hear it, so that we do it. For the word is very near you, in your mouth, and in your law, to do it. See, I have put before you this yom, Chai, the tu, and death, the evil, in that I am commanding you this yom to Ahava Yahuwah, your Elohim, that is, to walk in all his ways, and to guard his commands, his laws, and his right rulings, and you shall live and increase, and Yahuwah, your Elohim, shall barak you, favor you, in the land that you go to possess. But if your love turns away, and you do not obey, and shall be drawn away, and shall bow down to other mighty ones and false higher powers and serve them, I have declared to you this yom that you shall certainly perish in the end. You shall not prolong your days or yamim into eternity in the land that you are passing over the Yarden to enter and possess. I have called the Shamaim and the Arats as witnesses this yom against you. I have put before you Chai and death, the Baraka and the curse. Therefore you shall choose Chai, so that you live, both you and your seed, to Ahava Yahuwah, your Elohim, to obey his voice, and to cling to him, for he is your Chai, and the length of your Yamim, to dwell in the land that Yahuwah swore to your Abim, to Abraham, to Yitzchak, and to Yaakov, to give them. Word of Yahuwah, Yahusha. Havel Yahuwah, Yahusha. I'm going to try to make this last part quick. Matatyahu. Matthew chapter 16, 19. Oh, yeah. I believe maybe 19, 16. Matatyahu. Matthew chapter 19, verse 16. And see, one came and said to him, Teacher, what good thing shall I do to have everlasting life? And he said to him, Yahusha responded, saying, Why do you ask me about what is stub? There is one who is stub if you want to enter into Chai. Guard the commands. And he said to him, What commands? And Yahusha said, You shall not murder, you shall not commit adultery, you shall not steal, You shall not bear false witness. Respect your Abba and your Amma, and you shall Haba your neighbor as yourself. These commands that you know, right? The young Adam, the young man, said to him, all these I have watched over from my youth. What do I still lack? Yahusha said to him, if you want to be perfect, go, sell what you have and give to the poor, and you shall have treasure in the Shamayim, and come, follow me. And when the young man heard the word, he went away sad, because he had numerous possessions. And Yahusha said to his Talmidim, truly I say to you, that it is hard for a rich man to enter into the reign of the Shamayim. Of course, not just physically rich, but the mentality of a rich man that they're they're all they're okay. They don't need anything else. They don't need your truth. They got everything they need. And again, I say to you, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle, or in Aramaic, in the Hebrew, another word is kamal, is actually, or another word for it is rope, another meaning, like in the Aramaic. So it's the idea that some of it was Aramaic and it was actually rope. It makes more sense logically. And again, I say to you, it's easier for a rope to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter into the reign of Elohim. And when this Talmudim heard it, they were very astonished, saying, who then is able to be saved? And they said that because if it's hard for a rich man, and they understood, they were looking at the context in the light of the righteous people that were people thought were righteous, considered righteous, were rich people, like the Pharisees and all those people in power were all rich, and they were all whitewashed tombs. They seemed to look righteous on the outside, but they were all full of dirt on the inside. If you know what I mean, they all plotting, scheming, doing wicked things, and but back then the mentalities was like, you know, like the 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 rich people are righteous. They were respected. They were looked at like they were righteous. And so as Talmudim heard it, and they were very astonished, saying, "Who then is able to be saved? The rich man can barely make it, and they're supposedly righteous." And looking intently, Yahusha said to them, "With men this is impossible, but with Elohim all is possible." Then Kafah answering said to him, "See, we have left all and followed you. What then shall we have?" And Yahusha said to them, truly I say to you, when the Ban of Adam sits on the throne of his esteem, you who have followed me in the restoration shall also sit on 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Yasharal. And everyone who has left houses, or brothers, Achim, or Achotim, sisters, or Abba, or Amma, or Asha, wife, or Banim, or lands, children or lands, for my name's sake, shall receive 100-fold with persecution, and in the end 1,000-fold in everlasting Chai. But multitudes who are first now shall be last, and the last shall be first. So, what is the first and the last? The context was rich, and those that people thought were rich and righteous, opposed to those who were like poor and nothing. He's saying, with man it's impossible, with Yahuwah all is possible, and that possibility is going to flip around, and it's going to be the unthinkable, the impossible, the what all these people, all these the ones that people thought were just poor and nothing, and screw ups, all these people, especially that were like incarcerated, all these so-called criminals with records end up being the real righteous ones and elect in Yahuwah's eyes, because they learned from the mistakes and repented, but they still had a what seemed like a negative, bad projection, but they had the right love and doing the right things. They just carried themselves. They weren't whitewashed. They didn't need to worry about what making themselves look all positive and righteous on the outside, because they knew they were on the inside. But to the world, they couldn't handle it because they weren't playing by their game, their rules. Especially you have to be rich. Is one of the things, to be successful with a nice track record, and that puts a smile on their face. Those who the world consider righteous, all smiling and positive. A lot of them not smiling positive because they're righteous. They're smiling positive because they're rich. And they didn't got rich plotting and scheming. They had to cut a few heads to get there. Make some shortcuts and do some little corrupt things here and there to get on top. Step on some heads. You know, and so we didn't compromise those things. We rather, a lot of people are poor, the righteous, because they rather do the right thing even at their own hurt, and miss out, lose out, cut themselves out of the thing to do what's right. Help someone out, and they kind of put them in a hole in the way sometimes, and maybe who didn't come through for them like they thought, but Yahuwah does in the end. Like he's testing them to see. Some of us like, oh, I'm gonna help my neighbor when he's struggling with his rent or something. We help him out, but then kind of put us on a tight spot. Oh shoot, now I'm not able to get my rent, but I paid it. I paid it forward. I hope someone's gonna help me out. And then sometimes I just don't go that way. Like a miracle, like we think is gonna happen, and Yahuwah testing us, and he don't come through, and we lose our spot, and it's a test to see, are you gonna flip out and curse him, or are you gonna get mad and like, why didn't you get my back? I didn't help someone else, and you didn't even get mine. Like, this is why I'm not gonna believe you and trust you no more. And he's gonna be like, well, guess you weren't worthy of me after all. But if you're like, so be it, Yahuwah gives and he takes away, he's like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about, because you're looking at the bigger picture. You're trusting in him that at the end of the day, you're going to get eternity. You know, that's the price you pay for eternity, is giving up this world, give up, having those moments, you make those little offerings, sacrifice, having the right attitude about it. When you have to make those cuts, those offerings, and you respond right, like, well, I still trust you anyways. I know in some ways part of your plan. And when we figure out what that plan is, we can see it clearly when we realize it ain't about us prospering. He's trying to see what's really in our life. If we're like those fake hypocrite counterfeit ones that trying to play him, use him as a genie. I'm gonna do all these right things so you can favor me, make me rich. You don't like them. You don't like those. That's what Scripture's all about. That where Scriptures say in the Bread of the New Testament, who think that uprightness, godliness, uprightness, and righteousness is a means for gain. That they're only doing uprightness for gain. They only want you to, so they're doing all these right things just so who can prosper them. That's the only reason they're in it, and they're trying to play on them. You know what I mean? Trying to play them like that. Like they just want the prosperity now, so they're doing all the right things. He sees that. He may give it because he just sees in every different kind of alternate universe reality, every version, that they won't come to him anyways. Any other way, they're just gonna throw a fit and cry and do all this other dumb stuff. Who knows? This is like the best take you have of doing actually anything right, but you're cutting heads and doing all this and doing it just to be rich. And like, yeah, I'll let you have it, but you're not gonna get me. You already sold out. Like you just one of the richest. You can have this. You won't get me. I would say it's like the parable of the driving a bunch of kids to get some ice cream. They got to go for an hour drive. We're going to Dairy Queen, get a nice big sundae, but it's an hour drive. It's going to take a while, take a little patience. Halfway through the drive, a couple of kids start complaining they want their ice cream now. So you know what? Pull over right here, the McDonald's right there. Get them their little dollar ice cream, their best life now, but you're not going to get the sundae, the first yom. You're not going to get that really nice big one at the end when we get there, you know. And then they got to watch those who swallow that pill, that red pill, and swallow real hard and buckle down and girded their loins and stay patient and quiet and through the pressure and humble themselves and the took the beating of the patience of the time to wait till we get to Dairy Queen, stomach rumbling and pain, stomach hurting and hungry, the sorrow of this life till we get to the end to finally get that Sunday, that eternity, and bam, that's what it's all about. Delayed gratification. And for those who were, sometimes those kids mock you. They'll, like the ones that got the little McDonald's ice cream, and they're like eating in your face, like, ha ha ha, look at me, enjoy this little dollar ice cream. And you're like, go ahead. And in the end, we get that big Sunday, and they're like blown away. Like, no, what did I just do? And, And sometimes they're repentant at the end, be like, "You want a piece? Yeah, I'll let you. You can have a little piece of my Sunday." And he allows them to, but that's on their attitude. Like they throw a fit about that. How come? And I want that too, and they get crazy at him. And like, you know what? There's that lake of fire thing right there. Jump in that for a minute. Try that out. Yeah, don't gotta hear that no more. So that's it. Continuing. But multitudes who are first now shall be last, and the last shall be first. Praise Yah. Whoever has left all these things for his name. Praise Yah. Go to Luke. All this to show we're still in agreement with the same Torah commandments. He just renewed it in his blood. Excuse me. Lucas chapter 10, 25. And see, a certain one learned in the Torah, the law, stood up, trying him, saying, Teacher, what shall I do to inherit everlasting high? And Yahusha said to him, What has been written in the Torah, in the law? How do you read it? So now this is Yahusha asking someone else, how does he understand it? How does he see it mean? What does he see it means? It's saying, and the man answering said to Yahusha, You shall have a Yahuwah. So this isn't just Yahusha saying this. This was a jam at this time. Everybody was talking about this. Was like the word of that era. This was what was trending. This phrase, to sum up all the Torah is this, and to do this is to do all the Torah. So even another man answers this saying, he answers Yahusha saying, You shall have a Yahuwah, your Elohim, with all your love, and with all your nafash, all your being, and with all your strength, your kabar, and with all your mind, your yatsah, and your neighbor as yourself. And Yahusha said to him, You have answered rightly. Do this, and you shall live. But he, wanting to declare himself righteous, said to Yahusha, And who is my neighbor? And replying, Yahusha said, A certain man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho, not saying if it was a Jew or not, because back then to the Yahudim, the Jews, that mattered. Because if it's a Jew, then he's worthy, he's worth something. If he's not, then he ain't worth nothing. That's how they felt. But Yahusha said, Don't matter who it is. And he fell among robbers, who both stripping and beating him, went away, leaving him half dead. And by coincidence, a certain Kahan, a minister of the Yahudim, the Jews, was going down that way. And when he saw him, he passed by on the other side. So the Samaritan at this point might assume, well, maybe it was a Gentile, so maybe it doesn't matter. But what if it was a Jew and he was just dissing his own people? And likewise, Zalui also, when he came to the place and seeing, passed by on the other side. But a certain Shumaruni, a Samaritan, journeying, came upon him, and when he saw him, he had compassion on him. And he went to him and bandaged his wounds, pouring on oil and pouring out wine. And having placed him on his own beast, he brought him to an inn, and looked after him. And going out on the next yom, he took out 2 pieces of silver, gave them to the innkeeper, and said to him, Look after him, and whatever more you spend, I shall repay when I return. Who then of these 3 do you think was neighbor to him who fell among the robbers? Now, right there, the guy would have been tripping the Yahudi, the Jew, because he would have been thinking like, why does it matter about this Samaritan? Because that was their mindset, like their mind processing, the frame of thought processing was, a Gentile, someone not a Jew, cannot be considered righteous. But here, in the example, the Shamaruni is clearly the one doing the righteous thing. So Yahusha is just asking him to answer the question, who are these? Was neighbor to him who fell among the robbers? That's all he's asking. So he's going to answer directly. And he said, well, he who showed compassion on him. Then Yahusha said to him, go and do likewise. And if you notice, he didn't even have the respect, to say that it was a Samaritan, because again, that pride. In that time, there was that the division between the Jews and the Gentiles. So to say the Samaritan, it would be like kind of like exalting them in a way. So he just said, he who showed compassion on him, you know? And that's what Yahusha's point was. It don't matter who it is being bruised and afflicted and beat down, and it don't matter who it is that is helping them. The key is, you see your neighbor in need and distress, life, higher death, you go out and help them, and you're declared right in Yah's eyes, despite Jew or Gentile. And that's the point he was trying to make. He chose the Jews, the Yahudim, the 12 tribes, to be a light to the nations. They're supposed to be the ministers and the ones to share his word and teach about him, but they were not doing a great job. And so he did that for a reason too. He allowed them to show man's hypocrisy, that even then, they fail, but that he still was showing his integrity because he made a promise from Abraham, that through Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaqub, to the 12 tribes, Yasharal, Israel, that he would raise up an heir to sit on the throne of sovereign Dawood again, and he would be an eternal king, eternal sovereign, and that all the nations of the world would also find favor, compassion, favor through him. And that was through our Messiah, Yahusha, Savior of the world. And so, despite all their failings as being that governing light to the nations, he still did his end of the bargain to uh, meet his promise. Come through with the promise he made to still bring that sovereign Yahusha through the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, Yaqub, and through the tribe of Yehuda, to show that man might change and mess up and get it wrong, but he'll still find a way to make it right and make the crooked path straight and straighten it all out, no matter what. So that's a beautiful thing that we see in their history. So, and this is his way of calling all nations to himself and reconciling Jews and Gentiles as one. And he said to them, who of you shall have a friend and go to him at midnight and say to him, friend, lend me 3 loaves, since a friend of mine has come to me on this journey. Hold on, I think I went to the wrong spot. Yeah, sorry about that. So then Yahusha said to him, go and do likewise. And it came to be as they went, that he entered into a certain village, and a certain woman named Martha received him unto her house. And she had a sister named Mariam, and a Hut named Mariam, who also sat at the feet of Yahusha and heard his word. But Martha was distracted with much serving, and coming up she said, Adani, my master, Adani, are you not concerned that my Ahut has left me to serve alone? Speak to her then to help me. And Yahusha answering said to her, Martha, Martha, you are worried and troubled about much, but one only is necessary, and Mariam has chosen the due portion that shall not be taken away from her. Praise Yah. In other words, seeing the value of the word of Yah, when you really see it, you'll stop what you're doing for it. Make you just kind of have to give some things up just so you can make time for it. So the one sister was distracted with much serving. She wasn't valuing the word. She was just like, oh yeah, kind kind of thing. You ever have that when you're hanging out, someone's telling you a story, you're kind of like, you're kind of not, or they're kind of doing that with you. But we all know that dynamic. I would assume, I'm speculating, Martha was kind of that state of mind, just more focused on what needed to be done in the house. So she was kind of one foot in, one foot out, one ear out the other kind of thing. Even to the point she interrupted Mashiach Yahusha. She's like, Adani, aren't you not concerned that Mariam has left me to serve alone? She's like, sorry, let me cut you off, but he's like, Marta, Marta. Like, he's like, you're distracted and worried about all kinds of things. Your mind is everywhere. But look, only one thing is important, this word right now. And Maria gets it. Mariam has chosen that through portion, that better portion. That she ain't gonna let no one take that away from her. She knows the value of the word. So praise Yah. And I love that because that's something that we always need to be mindful of. Like, you know, I remember when I would be doing whatever I was going through, shenanigans, busy my own thing, but anytime something manifested the word, whether I was flipping through channels and it just came up, or on the radio, flipping through the radio and there it was, or walking through the street and somebody was preaching or something, I always like stopped what I was doing and thought about this subconsciously in a way and was like, you know what, let me stop. I'm distracted by all kinds of things I'm doing, and let me just choose the better portion this moment with the word. Let me just take it in. And those are the moments that change your entire path. That was the most, that's what changed. That's what did it for me. Those moments is when you actually decide to stop and listen out of respect and hear and take it in. And then that starts to like snowball to another moment. And next thing you know, you're changing your radio station, your program, your entire thing. You're putting it on some Christian radio or something to get more of it, and then bam, you're on the path. And those are all part of the steps. Christianity is just one of the steps to get to the truth, and that's that we're not Christians, but we get to the point where we realize we're actually supposed to be grafted into the nation of Yasharal, Israel. you know. So it's like overcoming that deception. But in the midst of it, there's a lot of meat still. It's part of the process. So we call it eat the meat, spit the bones as you go. So that's where we're at. Praise Yah. All right. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. Just when the modern day, congregations of of the belief, the mainstream version of it, JC and all that, they teach the laws done away with. And here we're making the point that Yahushua saying, I didn't come to do away with the law and the Nabi. As a matter of fact, that's where we're going next. He keeps reiterating to keep the law and the commandments. You know, he says, do that and you shall live. And I love that moment there too, because I was like differentiating, making a difference of like just doing the bare minimum, the foundational commandments, the Torah, and you shall live. Yeah, you probably get high, you probably get eternity, but there's levels to that. And then that's when he says, you want to be perfect. In other words, you want to be complete. You want to be like me. Give up everything. Follow me, and you have treasure in Shamayim. You have a better inheritance, a better resurrection, better. You have what you're giving up now. You'll get eternal times more in Shamayim. It's just a vapor. It's temporary. Like you can grasp that, man. Follow me. I need people for the real work, the real mission. Just to be constant projections of the word, keeping it stirred up, and keeping it fresh. Salt from the flavor, keeping it preserved. Salt is a preservative, keeping it preserved and alive is really it too. The light, the word is light, keeping the Torah, the word, constantly manifesting to the living stones. Living stones of what? Living stones, the building blocks, stones of the walls of the city of New Jerusalem. So we're like stones, like talking speakers, part of that of Zion. Praise Yah. All right, Matthew, almost done. We're gonna do this one. And yeah, just try to get through it. Matatiahu, not too much longer now. I got a few more and that's it. Matatiahu, Matthew chapter 5. But when he saw the crowds, he went up on a mountain. And when he was seated, his Talmudim came to him. And having opened his mouth, he was teaching them, saying, Baruch, favored are the poor in spirit and being, and Afash, and the Ruach, because theirs is the reign of Shamaim. Why are they Baruch favored but poor in Ruach and their being? Because the context are those who do give up everything for the reign. It's all connected to the context of everything we read. It's these who've given up everything to follow him, to preach, teach, and reach and share his word, to the point that they're exhausted, they're burnt out, they didn't get the turnovers, the returns in this time, in this high time. They're not rewarded yet, so they're poor in their being and physically, financially, all of that. But they're favored. He's saying, but be content. Like that's a tall tale sign. That's an evidence that you have a great inheritance waiting for you on the other side, because you still have I'm keeping you in delayed gratification. I'm not going to allow you to prosper. It's not going to come to let you know that I'm holding it for you for the eternal reign to come. He does that. He holds it for us. And anytime I try, it's like, nope, you want it now or you want it later? I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll get it later then. You know, but and he takes care of me. Like I try him on it. I trust him, and I bypass certain barakul of physical, financial, worldly moments, and all of a sudden, bam, he's giving me like a buffet and a feast and all kinds of barakuta, things that tender kindnesses, my life's desires, the sweeter things and high little things that I really enjoy, just little things, just like keep you going. It's amazing. So Baruch are the poor in being Nafash, because theirs is the reign of the Shamaim. Baruch are those who mourn. Same thing, same context, mourning because they preached, teach, reached, and seeked, and didn't get any results to turn over. So it's breaking their lives, making them sad. It's like, man, like Nuach and a lot of the time, the Naveen, Nabun spoke to people for years and hardly got anybody to really convert or to repent. And it's life breaking. So they mourn because they see the world only getting more wicked. So we mourn for the abominations constantly increasing in the world, while we're trying to help be a part of restoring the breach, restoring the righteousness of Yah's word in the world. So Baruch are those who mourn, because they shall be comforted. Baruch favored, content are the meek, because they shall inherit the arats. And if you weren't meek before, you do this long enough, Yah will make you meek, because He'll humble you. You can only handle so many debates, and even like the worst thing that's law breaking is you can like clear as day, like prove your point and win the argument in the debate, but it's like it like goes over. It doesn't go over the head. They just when they consciously choose to just reject it just because they want what they want, regardless of you proving your point. They see your truth. They see the truth. They rather just choose the other way because it suits their fleshly paradigm. Their what they want to do, and and so it's like you wasted all your breath, your confidence, how smart you think you are, and everything all this treasure you casted pearls before swine, and they trampled in it, and it just like it humbles you, it makes you meek. That'll make you meek. So those evidences come from people who the results of all these things. You can't have this just being a believer. I believe. But if you're still watching the game and still cheering, you got all kinds of worldly, fleshly charges brewing up in you still there that aren't circumcised, that haven't been chipped away and broken down, destroyed and purged out, and like impurities, like gold refined in the fire, because you're still enjoying the world. Those little tickling charges are still alive in you that are keeping you pride and proud and exalted, and you're not broken and meek and poor in the flesh and mourning and all that. You're not really concerned with the state of the world, and its sin and its rebellion and um, its delusion, or it's like, um, what's the other word? Like where they don't see it, where it's like a little um, blind to the fact. But you're not concerned with it, you're just like, it is what it is. I know, I think it's okay just because you repeated but a what they call it, an altar call. You know, you came down the aisle and got on your knees and pulled out, repeat after me, nasty husha, and promissory note. You know what I mean? An initiative step, but you start to walk through the the works. Like where the initiation leads to. The next steps and the next steps and walking this out. That's just the beginning. You just, it's like you just repeated marriage vows. You still got to live an honorable marriage. You know, that's all. That's all immersion is, and asking Yahusha into your life is just marriage vows and at the at the hupa, at the ceremony. But now you actually got to live out your marriage and honor him and walk this walk. And that's deny the world. Like don't be a part of, just work for him. When you go out and do what they do and you're a friend of the world, you're part of it and you're giving yourself, it shows that you really don't care about their condition. You might have some of that condition yourself. And you just love starting to get sucked right back in. And in the end, see, it's not what he wanted, because it's all, there's a lot of coding in there is demonic that pulls you into the love of the world. And when you give into those things, those vices, it sucks out the love for Yahuwah, you know, slowly, subconsciously, very slowly, very subtle, where you just lose passion for His Word, for reading, for going, for listening, and you just don't have the love for Him at the end of the day when it's all said and done. You're like, whoa, I don't know, I don't have that. I don't. You start to feel like you don't have that like you thought you had, like you once had. And I've been there too when I would start to slip away just by entertaining certain, like anything, and it starts to snowball and steal away my intimate relationship with him. And I catch it and like, nah, and I have to fight back to get back to it. And it's like right now, like me, I feasted a lot, gained some weight, and it's like that. I was like for a while staying in shape for a little bit, having that relationship with staying healthy and conditioned and in shape. But then like slowly you start to, realize you're just getting away with one snack here and there, especially during the feast, and neglecting one study or jog, if you will, but like neglecting an exercise session or jog is like neglecting a read or study. What happens if you neglect one or two of those? You start to gain, if you're feasting especially, and you're on the other end of consuming the worldly substance, you're gonna gain weight. You're gonna get fat real quick. And then by the time you think about running and working out again, you're feeling too sluggish to do it. You're just like, screw it. I'm just gonna like ride this phase out for a few months and just be a couch potato and just let this ride out until I really get motivated again. And you don't want to be there because then that's like losing the passion for Yahuwah. You start to watch worldly things, watch worldly reels, TikToks, whatever it is, movies, shows, um, partying, going out, events, certain little things, and you start to lose that passion for spending time with Yahuwah and His Word. It's like you start gaining weight, you start getting sluggish, and before you know it, you're not working out no more. You don't care about eating healthy no more, and uh, and he don't know you no more because he's like in a workout club, if you will, if you shall, and you're not there no more. It's like, dude, who are you again? I don't recognize you. You gained so much weight, like you're not the same person, and so you don't want that. You're all coming in back to the gym with a beer belly, burping. You just finished a 12 pack of beer, and you're just like, ugh. He's like, oh yeah, sorry, my friend. You can't come in here drunk like that, Like that's basically what people are gonna be like spiritually, like trying to enter into Shamayim. They're like, what do you mean? I believed. Remember, I used to read and do stuff every now and then. I just kind of got caught up in the moment, and lost, let's lost myself a little bit. Just kind of lost track of the routine. And nah, I can't lose track, man. Gotta stay on it, stay sharp. That's what we're doing. Making every effort to enter the narrow gate. Aman, Aman, Shalom, praise Yah. So, Baruch are those who mourn, because they shall be comforted. Baruch are the meek, because they shall inherit the Arats. Baruch favored, content are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, to see Yah's Torah rule and reign in the world, because they shall be filled, they shall see it happen. Baruch are the compassionate, because they shall obtain compassion. Baruch favored are the clean in love, the pure in love, clean in love, because they shall see Elohim. Baruch are the shalom makers, peacemakers, keep peace, because they shall be called Banim of Elohim. Baruch are those persecuted for righteousness' sake, because theirs is the reign of the Shamayim. So that's what's getting the context. It's about those who were persecuted for following Yahushua and teaching and doing those right things that lead up to being poor in the Ruach, the Nafash, and mourning and hungry and thirsting for righteousness, all that. Baruch are those persecuted for righteousness' sake, because theirs is the reign of the Shamayim. Baruch are you when they reproach you and persecute you and falsely say every wicked word against you for my sake. Samach, loud expressions of gladness. Be content. Samach, be glad and and express gladness, and be glad, because your reward in the Shamayim is great. For in this way they persecuted the Nabim who were before you. You are the salt of the Arats, the preservative of the Torah in the world. But if the salt becomes tasteless, you lose that passion, that desire. How shall it be seasoned? How are you going to get that desire back? We're just talking about that parable. You're going to get fat on the couch. You're not going to want to work out no more. What do they say? You let yourself go. You got lost. You are the salt of the earth, but the salt becomes tasteless. You lose your preservedness of the word. You're not preserving it no more, teaching and sharing it. How shall it be seasoned? You lost your passion. It's done. For it is no longer of any use but to be thrown out and to be trodden down by men. You have no power and authority in the word no more. You can't. They're just going to walk over you. You're just going to be a part of it, part of the world. You are the light of the world. What is the light? Again, I always go to it. I'm going to just say it. Mashli Proverbs 6:23. The command is a lamp, and the Torah, the law, is a light. You are the Torah, the light of the world, the law-keeping element in the world. It is impossible for a city to be hidden on a mountain, nor do they light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a lampstand, and it shines to all those in the house. Let your light so shine, your Torah keeping shine before men, so that they see your righteous works of Torah and praise your Abba who is in the Shamayim, because they know that's from him. So therefore do not think that I came to destroy the Torah or the Nabim. Huh? You hear what Yahushua saying? Do not think that I came to destroy. I didn't come to do away with the law, the Torah, or the Nabim. I did not come to destroy, but to complete it, to fulfill it. And so you might be thinking, well, there he goes. He just said I finished it. But that's what he just said the sentence before that. Do not think that I came to finish it, to do away with it. I came to complete, fulfill. So what does that word mean? Well, he also says in John 15, I came that your joy might be complete or fulfilled. Does that mean your joy is done away with? No, I came that your joy might be, or your samcha, your samach, might be fully filled and raised up. In the same context, I came not to do away with the Torah or the Nabim, but I came to raise it, to fill it up to the fullest, the standard of it. How did he fill up the standard? Later when he explains, for it is written, don't commit adultery. But I say, if you even look at a woman lustfully, you already committed adultery with your lab. Now, is that doing away with it, or is that raising the standard? That's raising it to the full, because it's no longer about the action. The Torah says, don't commit the action. But I raise the standard by saying don't even have it in your mind or in your law. And he says that in a little bit coming up, that referring to this. Do not think that I came to destroy the Torah of the Nabim. I did not come to destroy, but to fill it up, to raise it. For truly I say to you, till the Shamayim in the earth, the Arats pass away. One yad, one little letter, the Y of the Hebrew Torah, the Abari, or one tittle, one little mark of the Torah, the law shall by no means pass from the Torah, the law, till all be done. What is all? Heaven and earth, Shamayim and earth have passed away before you can even think that the Torah is done away with. That's how it says it in Luke, right? But here it says, until Shamayim and earth pass away, and not one yad or one tittle shall by no means pass from the Torah, till all be done, till heaven, Shamayim and earth pass away. Because he says on the tie it is all done, or he says on the tie it is finished, but not everything was finished, just that mission. Because then you go to Revelation 21, I saw a new Shamayim and a new earth, for the former Shamayim and the former earth fled away. And then Yahusha says, look, I make a new Shamayim and a new earth. I make all things new. And then he says, I am the Ad and the Tav, the beginning and the end. It is finished. It is all finished. And then everything is finished. To fulfill what he's saying here. Whoever then breaks one of the least of these commands till then, and teaches men so, shall be called least in the reign of the Shamayim. What? I thought the law was done away with. But he's saying whoever then breaks one of the least of these commands. Least of what commands? What did he just say before? Don't think I came to destroy the law or the Nabi. Any of the least commands from the law, the entire law. And teaches men so, to break even the least command, shall be called the least. Or in the original Abadi, there was a stronger language. It would have said something more like shall be considered nothing by those in the reign of the Shamayim. That's Hebrew thought, Abadi thought. So this idea is a little bit more watered down. Shall be called least in the reign of the Shamayim. But whoever does and teaches them, even the least, he shall be considered great in the eyes of Yahuwah in the reign of the Shamayim. For I say to you that unless your righteousness exceeds that of the scribes and Pharisees, and that was easy, that was sarcasm, because they were all hypocrites. They're the ones, not all of them were hypocrites, but like the majority generally, they were the ones in power that were snaring up people, catching them in lies and schemes, put them to death because they didn't like them, or putting little man-made traditions in place for greed purposes. Like Yahusha rebukes them at Mark 7, saying, y'all tell Abba and Amma, or y'all tell the people not to honor their Abba and their Amma, that whatever they would dedicate or give to their Abba and Amma to honor their father and mother, Abba and Amma to take care of them, that they should just dedicate to the house, that Yahuwah will take care of them. And so you nullify the word of Yahuwah for your greedy gain. But he was being nice and said for your tradition. But they put they put their own teachings in the place, they put the teachings of man in place of the actual commandments of Yah. Well, actually, take a look at that. For I say to you that unless your righteousness exceeds that of the scribes and Pharisees, you shall by no means enter into the reign of the Shamayim. You heard that it was said to those of old, you shall not murder. Right? You heard that it was written in the Torah, you shall not murder. And whoever murders shall be liable to judgment. But I say to you, or I fulfill it, I fill this Torah, this law to the fullest, by saying that whoever is wroth with his brother without a cause shall be liable to judgment. It's as if he already murdered him in his life. And whoever says to his brothers, Ach, Raka, cursed, shall be liable to the Sanhedrin. And so likewise, whoever says you fool shall also be liable to the fires of Gehenna, of hell. If then you bring your gift to the slaughter table, and there remember that your Ach, your brother, holds whatever against you, leave your gift there before the slaughter table, and go first make shalom with your Ach, your brother, and then come and offer your gift. Be well minded with your opponent promptly while you are on the way with him, lest your opponent deliver you to the judge, and the judge to the officer, and you be thrown into prison. Truly I say to you, you shall by no means get out of there till you have paid the last quarter. And of course, that's talking about spiritual prison where you have your brother has something whatever, your brother has something whatever against you, and you offended them, but you don't make it right. And I guess an easier way of saying it would be like karma. That's what it means by prison. It's like you wrong somebody and you don't make it right, you don't reconcile, and all of a sudden you start going through like some afflictions, like a phase of bad things happening to you. You get sick for like a week or whatever, or something happens because you maybe however, but things like that happen all the time, and it's basically that's you being that spiritual prison, like it's like manifesting, you know, hardship in your high because of something you did to your brother. And that's why I'm saying people are minded with your opponent promptly while you're on the way with him. That's your opponent deliver you to the judge. That means he petitions to Yahuwah about you. That's him delivering you to the judge. Yeah, look what this one's doing to me, what he did to me, how he's acting and treating me, whatever. And the judge to the officer, Yahuwah sends afflicting messengers in the reality to check that, and you be thrown in prison. Truly, I say to you, shall by no means get out of there. You won't come out of that realm. You'll be in that projection till you have paid the last quarter. And so you heard that it was said to those of old, you shall not commit adultery. That's what the Torah says. You heard that was written in the Torah. You shall not commit adultery. But I say to you that everyone looking at a woman, another man's wife, because what is adultery by definition? Looking at another man's wife. Anyone looking at another man's wife, or even just a woman, but in a way to sexually take her to lust for her, has already committed adultery with her in his lot. So we talk about this a lot. What is the definition of lust? We see those blueprints in like the story of Yusuf, Joseph, right? Potiphar's wife was trying to pretty much uh, plot ways to to have Joseph to like rape him in a sense. And so once you have that committed intention, that's when it's less. Like if you even have like if you whoever has a committed intention, we'll call it that, an intention to a commitment, an intention to do that is already considered lust because it's an insatiable craving. They've committed to it. They're not turning to the right or the left from it. They're gonna do it if they get the opportunity. It's already as do as done as Yah is concerned. That's completely different from admiring someone's loveliness, because Yahuwah did make us lovely in His image, and that's okay. Sometimes that's there for therapy. It's therapeutic. It's sort of nurturing. It's a little healing. It's a little object lesson, things that Yahuwah allows so that we can feel comfort. Um, it's just something therapeutic about it, and so Yahuwah allows that. So that's okay. That's why there's a lot of writings, poetic writings, parables that Navim give concerning women, their breast, and all kinds of stuff like that. So it's meant to admire with maturity. It's about the intention you have at it. But if you're like this crazy, stalking, ravenous monster about it, and you're just like, you can't help it, you're gonna go for it, you know, then that's a different story. That's lust. So whoever's looking, blessed to that everyone looking at a woman to lust her with a committed intention to have her has already committed adultery with her in his life. And there's a key word there, committed. They committed it because they were committed to it. That's when you can look at it. And if your right eye causes you to stumble, pluck it out and throw it away from you, for it is better for you that one of your members perish than for your entire body to be thrown into Gehenna. And of course, the Chakma, the wisdom in this is what's easier, plucking your eye out or just not committing the sin, So that's what he wants to get look at, not committing the sin. For it is better for you that one of your members perish than for your entire body to be thrown into Gehenna. And if your right hand causes you to stumble, cut it off and throw it away from you. For it is better for you that one of your members perish than for your entire body to be thrown into Gehenna. And I say to you again, what's easier, cut your right arm off or just not sin? You know. And it has been said, whoever puts away his wife and divorces her, let him give her a certificate of divorce. But I say to you that whoever divorces his wife, except for the matter of whoring, makes her commit adultery. And whoever marries a woman who has been put away without a certificate of divorce commits adultery. Again, you heard that it was said to those of old, you heard that it was said in the Torah, you shall not swear falsely, but shall perform your oaths to Yahuwah. But I say to you, do not swear falsely at all, neither by the Shamayim, because it is Elohim's throne, nor by the Arats, for it is his footstool, nor by Yerushalayim, for it is the city of the great sovereign, nor swear by your head, because you are not able to make one hair white or black. But to keep it easy, simple, keep it safe, just let your word Khan be Khan, yes be yes, and your la be la. And whatever goes beyond these is being motivated from the wicked one. You not agree when you're moved to just swear by the shaman or something just to get what you want. Hey man, I really need a loan. I swear by Yahuwah or something, I'll pay you back. And you're just saying out of desperation. Man, you gotta be careful with those words that come out your mouth like that, because Yahuwah's gonna hold you accountable for it. You heard that it was said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. But I say to you, do not resist the wicked. Whoever slaps you on your right cheek, turn the other also. Turn the other to him also. That's talking about showing compassion, because someone slaps you on the right cheek, hurts you, you have every right to take them to court, take them to jail, to the authorities. But it's saying, if possible, try to just show compassion and let that one slide and try to aim to reconcile and do things without always having to. Don't just try to, because then that can motivate you to just find a reason, try to provoke people to even throw them under the bus. What was happening back then was people really wanted to see someone suffer. Instead of hitting them, they would make them hit them so they could get thrown in jail. You know, they do it the other way around. So that was what that mentality was doing when it was like, hit me, I dare you. Oh, you hit me. See, look. Yeah, that's right. Now you're going to jail. Where instead it's like, hey, someone goes down and you get hit, fight breaks out, show some compassion and forgive that moment and let that one slide, kind of thing. Turn the other cheek also. Turn the other to him also. And he who wants to sue you and take away your inner garment, let him have your outer garment as well. In other words, before he can even take you to court to sue you, like, try to stay out of those arenas and try to reconcile things on your own terms, you know, with giving and loving and compassion and all that kind of stuff, you know. And whoever, because Yahuwah, this was at the time, every nav that came in the scriptures was always addressing um, whatever it was at that time that they were struggling with. And this time it was things like the great opposition between Yahudim and Gentiles, the Goyim, Yahudim and Goyim, and just being cold. So this is why Yahushua talked a lot about love and also like trying to use the authorities to get people in trouble. So he was trying to say things in ways to pull them from that thought process to go far right instead of left. It's like, hey, they slap you on your cheek. And that's an idiom too, because we see that in the book of Job, book of Job, says my those who sat with me have smit me in my cheek. And Job says that about his friends, but his friends never smitten him on the cheek. They were just talking him down. So even then it's like an idiom to like, hey man, those who talk you down, who kind of like get a little nasty with you, get a little off with you, like sideways, just turn the other cheek, like just let it go. Like if you can't, like, let it go. Try to make that first attempt to let it go and let it cool down. You ain't gotta try to make a thing out of it, be right, or get them, in trouble or whatever. And whoever compels you to go 1 mile, 1 million, go with them too. Long suffer them a little bit, you know, in that same regard too. Give to him who asks of you, and him give to him who asks of you, and from him who wants to borrow from you, do not turn away. You heard that it was said, you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy. That was said. That's a tradition of the Pharisees. After the return of the exile coming out of Babylon back into the land, Ezra, Nehemiah, and all them got together and said, we're no longer associated with the Gentiles because us associating with them in the first place got us in trouble, got us kicked out the land for following their mighty ones. They enticed us to follow their ways. So we're just not gonna have anything to do with them. So we're just gonna love each other as our neighbors and hate them, the nations as like the enemy, despise them. We're just gonna separate ourselves from the world. But it just says, but I say to you, how about your enemies? Favor your enemies. Barak those cursing you. Favor those cursing you. Do good to those hating you. And petition for those insulting you and persecuting you. So that you become banim, children of your Abba and the Shamayim. Because he makes his sun rise on the wicked and on the righteous. He shows goodness to both, to all creation. And sends rain on the righteous and on the unrighteous. When he puts you in right standing with Yahuwah, it's how you respond to it. You know, just because he's being through to you doesn't mean you're cool, you're in through standing with him. He's through to the righteous and on the unrighteous. What puts you in through standing with him is how you respond to that righteousness, to that trueness he's showing you. And that's where you're in his favor. For if you will have those only having you, what reward or what merit have you? Are the tax collectors and sinners not doing the same too? And if you greet your Achim, your brothers only, what do you do more? Are the tax collectors and the sinners not doing so too? Therefore be perfect, Tamim, as your Abba the Shamayim is Tamim. Of course, I don't never have time with special time. I'm gonna do it when you and read this part, but definitely read. You can come back to this when you can and read chapter 6 and 7. You know, beware of doing your kind deeds before men in order to be seen by them. You know, don't let your left hand know what the right hand is doing. That kind of stuff. Palal to your Abba who's in secret, you know, not shouting on the streets to be seen by men. And of course, Yahusha did Palal openly, but it's the intention. He didn't do it to be seen by men. He wanted to he was really Palan to Yahuwah, moved by those moments and to bear witness of his authority. So everything depends on the intention, what your intention is. And then how to Palal, don't go on babbling like the Gentiles, going to thinking that they shall be heard for their multitude words. Um, and forgive those who sin against you, because if for if you forgive men their trespasses, Yahweh the Shamayim shall also forgive you. But if you do not forgive men their trespasses, neither shall Yahweh forgive you. Right? And when you fast, don't be sad faced, but put it on oil. Don't let it be known. Do it in secret so Yahweh sees it, shall reward you openly. And don't lay up treasures on the earth, rust and mud and the moths eat it up, but lay up your treasures in Shamayim, that is the righteous works of Torah, the works for Yahuwah, Yahusha, proclaiming the reign, Yahusha, and the message. For where your treasure is, there your love is, shall be also. In other words, yeah, like where your treasure is, that's where you end up. If it's in the world, you end up destroyed with the world. If it's in Shamayim, your love, your treasure in Shamayim, you end up in Shamayim. Or reverse engineer it. Where your love is, there your treasure is. So where put your attention, your focus, your passion, store up treasure for that. Just in the world's gonna burn and fade. It's meaningless. And it wasn't worth it. And if your love, your passion is dedicated to the word of Yah, well, that stores up treasure Shamayim. That's going to eternity. Praise Yah. The lamp of the body is the eye. If therefore your eye is stupid, all your body shall be enlightened. You have a presence and aura about you. But if your eye is evil, all your body shall be darkened. You shall have a bad presence about it. If then the light that is within you is darkness, how great is that darkness? No one is able to serve two masters, for either he shall hate the one and ahava the other, or else ye shall cling to the one and despise the other. You are not able to serve Elohim and wealth, the world. Because of this, I say to you, do not worry about your chai, what you shall eat or drink, about your body, what you shall put on. Is not chai more than the food, and the body more than the clothing? Look at the birds of the Shamayim, for they neither sow nor reap, nor gather into storehouses. Yet your Abim of the Shamayim feeds them. Are you not worth more than they? Now he gives parables of the birds. Are the birds abundantly wealthy and rich and prosperous and living the best kind now? No, they're just living day by day, being provided for that day for what they need. That's the connection. And who of you, by worrying, is able to add one pakos, 1 minute, to his lifespan? So why do you worry about clothing? Know well the lilies of the field, how they grow. So this is more of a reflection towards materialistic superficiality, like vanity, like wanting to be all fashioned designer. Know well the lilies of the field, how they grow. They neither toil nor spin. And I say to you that even Shalama, in all his esteem, was not dressed like one of these. In other words, don't be worried about clothing just to have clothing. Like, what am I gonna wear? I don't have no clothes. Or even worry about clothing like, what should I wear? This or that. Like, oh, I don't like this shirt. I wanna look nice. Just don't even worry about that. But if Elohim so clothes the grass of the field that exists this yom and tomorrow is thrown into the furnace, how much more you? You of little belief, little empowered trust. Do not worry then, saying, what shall we eat, or what shall we drink, or what shall we wear? For all these the Gentiles and nations seek for, and your Abba the Shamayim knows that you need all these. He knows what you need. He'll take care of the needs, not the wants. But seek first the reign of Elohim and his righteousness. Put your focus on the inner man, working on it, your inner self to be made in his image, and all these shall be supplied to you. I say supplied because added sounds like you're going to get added, like add. You think additional, like extra favor from doing that. No, don't worry about that. It's talking about in this time on earth, seek the reign of Elohim, and all these things will be supplied. He'll do the bare minimum, at least at that. He'll take care of you. And whatever's extra, Barak Yahuwah, praise Yah, but we're not in it for the extras in this sky. We're in it just to share his word. We want to take as many people with us. The fire is burning the building down, and we're trying to let people know, hey man, there's a fire in the building. Let's get out. Come on. Titanic is sinking. Come on, we gotta get to the raft boats. And people don't want to get out. They're still dancing in the bottom and playing, violin. Want to just drown with the ship. All right. But seek first the reign of Elohim and his righteousness, and all these shall be supplied to you. Do not then worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow shall have its own worries. Each yom has enough evil of itself. Praise Yah. Of course, chapter 7, don't be judged lest you be judged, and so on. A through tree is unable to yield wicked fruit, and a rotten tree to yield good fruit. You know. So then, by their fruits you shall know them. Not everyone who says to me, Adani, Adani, my master, shall enter into the reign of the Shamayim. But he who does the desire of my Abba, who is in the Shamayim, he who does the desire of my Abba in the Shamayim. What is the desire? It's all connected to the context of Matatyahu 5. Don't think I came to do away with the Torah, the law of the Nabim. I come to do away, but to raise a standard. That's the desire. And he's still speaking from that same podium. This is the same conversation. And he says, multitude shall say to me in that Yom, Adani, Adani, have we not Nabu, spoke with authority in your name, your word, and cast out demons in your name, your power and authority, and done numerous mighty works in your name. So mighty works is like the work, like the actions, like the deeds, like feeding the homeless and all those other like type of things like that. Feeding the homeless, calling the poor, advocate for this and that, doing all this positive stuff in the world. You know, making running water, electricity. Those are great things. And do we not do this for your name, in your name? And then I shall declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you who work lawlessness, or lawlessness is Torahlessness, you who break the commandments. In other words, they did all this stuff, but the one thing they didn't do that he was asking was to keep the commandments. Don't think I came to do away with the Torah, the law of the Nabim. I came to raise the standard, and you're not doing it. Whoever breaks the least shall be nothing. Whoever does the least and teaches, then he shall be great. Therefore, everyone who hears these words of mine and does them shall be like a wise man who built his house on the rock. He is that rock, that chief cornerstone, the fountain of his words. And the rain came down, and the flood came, and the winds blew and beat on that house, and it did not fall, for it was founded on the rock, that cement foundation. And everyone who hears these words of mine and does not do them shall be like a foolish man who built his house on the sand. And the rain came down, and the floods came, and the winds blew, and they beat on that house, and it fell, and great was its fall. By the way, Masaka, you see the video when the wind's blowing on it. It never fell. It was up for like 5 hours. All right, and everyone who hears these words of mine and does not do them shall be like a foolish man who built his house on the sand. Yep. And the rain came down, the floods came, and the winds blew, and they beat on that house, and it fell down, and great was its fall. And it came to be when Yahusha had ended these words that the people were astonished at his teaching, for he was teaching them as one possessing authority, and not as the scribes. Praise Yah, Lord of Yahuwah Yahusha. Hallelujah, Yahuwah Yahusha. Alright, almost done here. Just gonna get First John. Sorry, I'm from Texas, so sometimes we get that little Texas twang. John chapter 15. Yahukanon, John chapter 15. Nope. Gonna do chapter 14 real quick. Quick version. Yahukanon, John 14:15 reads as such. If you will have me, you shall guard my commands, and I shall ask the Abba, and he shall give you another helper to stay with you forever, the Ruach, the divine eternal breath of truth, whom the world is unable to receive, because it does not see him or know him, but you know him, for he stays with you and shall be in you. I shall not leave you orphans, I am coming to you. Yet a little while, and the world no longer sees me, because he shall be put to death, but you shall see me, resurrection, because I live, and you shall live. In that yom you shall know that I am in my Abba, and you in me, and I in you. Achad, one mind, one yatsad, one ruach. Your inspiration comes from me. He who possesses my commands and guards them, it is he who will have me, and he who will have me shall be habad by my Abba, and I shall have him and manifest myself to him. Yehuda, not from Kadiot, said to him, Adani, what has come about that you are about to manifest yourself to us and not to the world? Yahusha answered him, if anyone ahabas me, he shall guard my word, and my Abba shall ahaba him. And the word is the word, the commandments. And we shall come to him and make our stay with him. Again, if anyone ahabas me and shall guard my word, if anyone ahabas me, he shall guard my word, and my Abba shall ahaba him, and we shall come to him and make our stay with him. In other words, Yahuwah, Yahusha, dwell in us in the Ruach HaKodesh. He who does not ahaba me does not guard my words. And the word that you hear is not mine, but the Allah who sent me. Fulfillment of Deuteronomy 18:18. I shall raise up a knob like you, Masha, out of the midst of the brothers, the Achim, and I shall put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak to the people all that I declare to him. And it shall be the man who does not listen to my words that he speaks in my name. I'll take vengeance on him. I shall take vengeance on him, as we're saying. And the word that you hear is not mine, but the Abba who sent me. These I have spoken to you while still with you. But the Helper, the Ruach HaKodesh, whom the Abba shall send in my name, my power and authority, he shall teach you all and remind you of all that I have said to you. Yehochanan, John 15. I am the true vine, and my Abba is the gardener. Every branch in me that bears no fruit, he takes away. And every branch that bears fruit, he prunes, cuts off the branches that are unnecessary, so that it bears more fruit of righteousness. You are already clean because of the word that I have spoken to you, and you respond rightly to it. So stay in me, and I in you. As the branch is unable to bear fruit of itself, unless it stays in the vine, so neither you, unless you stay in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. He who stays in me, and I in him, he bears much fruit of the Torah of righteousness, and the fruit of the Ruach, compassion. Because without me, you are unable to do naught. If anyone does not stay in me, he is thrown away as a branch and dries up, and they gather them and throw them into the fire, and they are burned. If you stay in me, and my words stay in you, you shall ask whatever you want, and it shall be done for you according to the desire of Yah. And of course, you know that's a reference to Psalms Tahalims, chapter 1, when he's saying, staying in me and I in you. He is speaking in the context of the Torah made flesh. Talim Psalms chapter 1. Baruch is the man who shall not walk in the counsel of the wicked, shall not stand in the path of the sinners, and shall not sit in the seat of scoffers, mockers. But his delight is in the Torah, the law of Yahuwah, he meditates in his law and his Torah day and night. And for this he shall be as a tree planted by the rivers of water, mine, that yields its fruit in its season. So this is what Yahushua was talking about in John. He says, if you stay in me, you bear fruit. Well, here it's saying if you stay meditating on the Torah, you bear fruit. So what does it mean to stay in Yahushua? He means to stay meditating the Torah because he is the Torah. To stay in him is to stay in the Torah. He's saying he is the Torah, stay in me. It's the Torah talking. Meditate in his word. It says he meditates in his Torah day and night. For this he shall be as a tree planted by the rivers of Mahim, with water that yields its fruit in its season, whose leaf does not wither, and whatever he does prospers. According to the word, succeeds. The wicked are not so, but are like the chaff that the wind blows away. Therefore the wicked shall not rise to the resurrection of eternity in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. For Yahuwah knows the way of the righteous, but the way of the wicked comes to naught. So that's what he's talking about here. If anyone does not stay in me, he is thrown away as a branch and dries up, and they gather them and throw them into the fire, and they are burnt. If you stay in me, and my words stay in you, meditate on the Torah, you shall ask whatever you want, and it shall be done for you. And this my Abba's esteem, that you bear much fruit, and you shall be my Talmudim. As the Abba has Ahava me, I have also Ahava you. Stay in my Ahava. If you guard my commands, you shall stay in my love, my Ahava, even as I have guarded my Abba's commands and stay in his Ahava. Did you catch that? He says, if you guard my commands. So what are the commands that we're supposed to guard, that Yahushua wants us to guard? Because some say, well, it's not the same commands as to guard, like loving each other and loving him, believing in him and loving each other, doing righteous deeds. Well, the entire world would do that. In that case, they don't need commands. Well, he tells us, if you guard my commands, you shall stay in my ahava, my love. What are his commands? These right here. Even as I have guarded my Abba's commands, and I stay in his love. Well, what commands did Yahusha guard of the Abba? The Torah. He kept it perfectly. And it's not about keeping it perfectly. It's just keeping it makes you perfect. There's no wrong way to eat a Snicker or eat a Butterfinger or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it's just doing it. That's the misconception that I think people have in the belief is like, no one can do it perfectly. You don't have to do perfectly. You just need to do it. You don't need to keep Sabbath perfectly. There's no wrong way to keep it. You just gotta have the intention to want to keep it. To like, hey, Friday night, sundown, get into that rest, do something to show that you're entering in, that you're acknowledging it, serving it, and like being mindful of it, and you're acknowledging Him, and you're shutting it down. From shutting down the world, and you're just operating just the Word, and that's it. You just however that starts to happen. There's no right or wrong way to do it. You just gotta have an intention and do it. All right. So if you guard my commands, you shall stay in my love, even as I have guarded my Abba's commands and stay in his love. These I have spoken to you so that my joy might be in you, my samcha might be in you, and that your samcha might be complete or fulfilled. So ain't talking about done away with, it's talking about that samcha might be filled to the full. This is my command, that you ahava one another as I have ahava you. No one has greater ahava. So there's another command that we have on one another as he has ahava us. And that's a new one because he had never manifested into the world until this time. So it's a new thing. So this part is new because it's him for the first time. But it's still a command at the same time. No one has greater ahava than this, that one should lay down his life for his friends. You are my friends if you do whatever I command you. No longer do I call you servants, for a servant does not know what his Adon is doing. But I have called you my friends. For all that I have heard from my Abba, I have made known to you. You did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you that you should go, they should go and bear fruit, and that your fruit should remain, so that whatever you ask the Abba in my name, my power and authority, he might give you. These I command you, so that you ahava one another. If the world hates you, know that it hated me before you. If you were of the world would love you as its own. But because you are not of the world, yet I chose you out of the world. For this reason, the world hates you, or despises you, or prefers you less. Remember the word that I said to you: a servant is not greater than his Adon, his master. If they persecuted me, they shall persecute you too, or disregard you. If they have guarded my word, they were gardeners too. But all this they shall do to you because of my name, because they do not know him who sent me. So continue. I'm gonna just leave that there for now, because the context we're looking for is Ahava Yahuwah, by your mind, by your Yatzad, Lab, Fash, Kabar, mind, love, being, and strength, and to Ahava your neighbor as yourself. But sometimes I can't help but want to just keep reading. It's just so juicy, so meaty. All right, let's go to First Yahukanon, First John, chapter 2, verse 15. Do not ahava the world, do not love the world, nor that what is in the world. If anyone loves the world, if anyone ahava the world, the ahava of the Abba is not in him. Because all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, I see it, I want it, and the pride of high, look what I got, look where we went, is not of the Abba, but is of the world. So kill that desire for the love of Abba. for the Haba of Abba. And the world passes away, and the lusts and the desires of it. But the one doing the desire of Elohim shall remain forever. Cool. Little children, it is the last hour, and as you have heard, that the anti-Mashiach is coming. Even now, multitude anti-Mashiachim have come. This is how we know that it's the last hour. So, if that was the last hour then I say we're at the last seconds. Alright, so now we're going to go to finish this up. A couple more. 1 John, Yahukanan chapter 3. See what Ahava the Abba has given us, that we should be called children of Elohim. For this reason the world does not know us, because it did not know him. Beloved loved ones, Chanim, now we are children of Elohim, and it has not yet been revealed what we shall be. But we know that when he is revealed, we shall be like him, for we shall see him and even be as he is. And everyone having this expectation in him cleanses himself as he is clean. Everyone doing sin, everyone continuing to do sin, also does lawlessness, breaking the Torah. And sin is breaking the Torah, lawlessness. And you know that he was manifested to take away our sins. And in him there is no sin. Everyone continuing to stay in sin, everyone staying in him does not continue sinning. Everyone continuing to sin has neither seen him nor known him. Little children, let no one lead you astray. The one doing righteousness is righteous, even as he is righteous. The one doing sin is of the devil, because the devil has sinned from the beginning. For this purpose the bond of Yahuwah was manifested, to destroy the works of the devil, even the ones operating in us. Everyone having been born of Elohim no longer continues to sin, because his seed stays in him, and he is powerless, having no desire to continue to sin, because he has been born of Elohim. In this the children of Elohim and the children of the devil are manifested. Everyone not doing righteousness is not of Elohim, neither the one not ahaving his ach, his brother. Because this is the message that you heard from the beginning, Barashit, Genesis, that we should ahava one another, not as Cain, who was of the wicked one, and killed his ach, Abel. And why did he kill him? Because his works were wicked, but those of his ach were righteous. So do not marvel, my brothers, if the world hates you the same way. We know that we have passed out of death into Chai, because we ahava the achim, the brothers. The one not ahaving his brother's ach stays in death. Everyone hating his ach is a murderer, and you know that no murderer has everlasting Chai staying in him. By this we have known Ahava, because he laid down his Chai for us, and we ought to lay down our Chai for the Achim, the brothers. But whoever has this world stoops and sees his Ach in need, and shuts up his tender affections from him. How does the Achava of Elohim stay in him? My little children, let us not Achava in word or in tongue, but in deed and in truth. First Yahukanan, John chapter 5. Everyone who believes, trusts, and obeys that Yahusha is Hamashiach has been born of Elohim. And everyone who ahabas the one bringing forth Yahuwah, also ahaba the one having been born of him, Yahusha. By this we know that we ahaba the children of Elohim, when we ahaba Yahuwah and guard his commands. For this is the ahaba for Yahuwah, that we guard his commands, and his commands are not heavy, are not burdensome, are not hard to do, are not impossible. Because everyone having been born of Elohim overcomes, triumphs over the world. And this is the triumphing that has triumphed over the world, our empowered belief, trust, and obedience, our amunah. Who is the one who has triumphed over the world? But he who shama, who hears, believes, and trusts, and obeys that Yahusha is the bond of Yahuwah. This is the one that came by Ma'im and blood, Adam. Or this is the one that came by Ma'im and Dam, Yahusha, HaMashiach. Not only by Ma'im, but by Ma'im and Dam. And it is the Ruach who bears witness. Skip over towards the end. It's getting late. We know that, verse 18, we know that everyone having been born of Elohim no longer continues to sin. But the one having been born of Elohim guards himself, and the wicked one does not move him, can no longer get him to sin. We know that we are of Elohim, and all the world lies in the wicked one. And we know that the bond of Yahuwah has come and has given us an understanding, so that we might know the true one. And we are in the true one, in his bond, Yahusha HaMashiach. This is the true Elohim. What? And we are in the true one, in his bond, Yahusha HaMashiach. Yahusha HaMashiach, this is the true Elohim. So Yahusha is Elohim, not just a man. But Yahusha HaMashiach, this is the true Elohim and everlasting Chai. Little children, keep yourselves from idols, like JC. Word of Yahuwah, Yahusha. Halal Yahuwah, Yahusha. Halal. And with that, bid you farewell. That concludes the Natsarym Shabat reading with the two great commands to Ahava Yahuwah without our Yatzad, Lav, Nafash, and Gabad, and to have our neighbor as ourselves. And with that, bid you farewell. May Ahava Yahuwah, Barakatah, favor you and increase you, guard you, protect you, and strengthen you, keep you. Ahava Yahuwah make his face shine upon you, and be compassionate and favorable towards you. Yahuwah lift his countenance and his presence and essence upon you, and give you shalom, and fill you with all the fruit of the Ruach, that we be a light to the nations and a light to one another, to sharpen each other as iron sharpens iron, that we might prepare each other to be a perfect, spotless, pure virgin bride, prepared for Adonai-nu, Eloheinu, Mashiach-ainu, Makainu, Haishiainu, Yahusha Mashiach, that we might be found worthy to enter the marriage wedding supper of the Lamb, and to be brought into your chambers, that we be a chap one, that we abide in you, and you in us, that we be Tamim as you are Tamim. For you are Yahuwah, Mak Yahusha, and Ruach HaKodesh. They make us Tamim in your image, and Ruach HaKodesh. And so Palal and petition these things of Yahuwah, Mak Yahusha, and Ruach HaKodesh with praise and Todah and gratefulness. By the power of the Dam of the Shah, the renewed covenant, by your power and authority, Mak Yahusha Mashiach, Adonai-nu, Eloheinu, Adani Umali. todo, todo, todo. Aman, Waman, Waman. Ala Yahuwah, Yahusha. Ala Yahuwah, Yahusha. And with that, we bid you farewell. Shabbat Shalom, Yasharal. Shabbat Shalom, Mashpacha. Shabbat Shalom, Ahavata.